welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live, and we've got a full panel on. Man United currently sitting top of the league. Nathan's happy. We're all happy. How's everyone doing tonight?
I'm fantastic. I'm over the moon. Fantastic.
Oh, is it finished?
I'm obviously
Is it finished?
happy.
Take some happy pills, so I can watch the
as
game.
always. The next time, Kieran, you might want to ask each one of us. I think we were waiting for one of us to speak.
Yeah. I know we're all right. Hey, in the comment section, we've got Peter G there already. How you doing, Peter G? Peter G, one of our early followers, helps us out on the channel as well. Peter. All right, how's everyone doing in the panel tonight? Good. All right, Simon, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Adios, Mezid.
Hey, how you doing?
He's going to be happy.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry, I was miles away then.
Steve's still in Russia. We've just been on Capital 5.3, Russia's only speaking radio in Moscow. Me and Steve were on there giving the old transfer information, transfer news, picking up the show, of course. Steve is still there in mind of the first. Yeah.
I'm great. I'm great, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Learn a new language while you was on there? Did you pick up any lingo? No?
No. I mean, me and Dimitri had this little thing going, but
Did. Gave the latest information on Tottenham. Very good. And how you doing, Nathan?
I mean, great. Can't complain. Top of the league still, so happy as can be.
How you doing, Jeremy? Good.
Yeah, all fine. Looking forward to the Arsenal game tomorrow. See what they deliver. Yeah.
We'll get on to that in a bit. We'll do a little bit of a Premier League roundup of the weekend scores and the comings and goings and the issues that some managers may have at the moment. But we'll start off with Man United chat with Nathan Ellerton. And Nathan, earlier on the week, you claimed top spot by getting that eagerly awaited win at Burnley. We knew it would happen. You got that win, and then you followed up with a result of Anfield State. It's a tough place to go. Still sitting top of the league. Liverpool dropped points as well. So let's start with the Burnley game.
To be fair, with the Burnley game, I was quite happy because he picked a side that he knew that would be able to outstrength Burnley. So, you go to them games, you're always a tough game. And he put Matic in there, and he had a bit of a spring in his step, to be fair. He was moving in that game. I was really happy with his performance. Then, obviously, Pogba did well in that game. I think I gave him the match that game. And obviously got his goal, which was a bit of a deflection, but we'll take that. And to be fair, for the majority of that game, we were in full control. Not often I say that in a season where we were defending really well. Bailly did really well. I loved that performance from him as well. We just controlled the game, kept attacking, and I knew something was going to happen. And we ended up getting a lucky goal, I'd say. But in the end, we were definitely deserving of coming away with the 3 points there, and obviously going top when actually it was on for us. We haven't done that this season many times when we actually supposed to go and win, and then we do win. So for that is a little milestone that we've ticked off now. And then obviously on to this Liverpool game. So
yeah, and Anfield's a tough place to go. So expected to get a result against them away from home. And I don't think they've lost there in 3 seasons or something ridiculous like that. So to go there and expect a win there is it's a bit. I mean, you've got to try and get something, but a draw is not a bad result when coming out of that, and a clean sheet as well.
Yeah, well, we have to pick our poison. We either play more defensively strong, and that obviously stops us from being as good going forward, or we put the extra players going forward, and then that stops us from being as compact at the back. That's if you're playing Bailly. So obviously, when he didn't pick Bailly, I straight away realised he's definitely going to put Fred and McTominay there. And it worked out well defensively, to be fair. One of the best games I've seen him play. He was getting forward. He was quite keeping Salah quiet. He's just winning all the balls, always in the right position. So he really, really did well. He's my man of the match, definitely. And to be fair, it's obviously they kind of controlled it at the early stages, and we just weathered that storm as you do in Liverpool. And then we grew into the game. And started. I was in the second half started, and after about 10 minutes, I was like, this game is here for the taking. We're going to get a chance. Something's going to happen. We're going to get a goal. Bruno gets that chance. I was like, all right, come on. We're still going to get a chance. Please bring someone on. Let's kill them. We know they're down. They're not looking on fire, on point up front. No. They're hesitant. They don't look like they're moving, fluidly like they used to. Like, come up forward, play back, put it in. Someone's always on the move. It's not happening anymore. They're stopping and starting. So I knew we could get them. And obviously, it ends up being 0-0. And in the end, you say, look, they had the share of the play first half. We had the share second. 0-0. We'll take that. If we have games like that against the big boys, and then I fancy us to do really well against the little boys. So we could actually still win the league if we can stay ahead of them after playing or drawing, whatever.
Yes,
so,
yes. It's a tactic that Jose Mourinho done with Chelsea for years, where it was don't lose against the top teams, beat the teams you should do, and you'll win the league. And it's been shown where they talk about don't take it. They're not people that these clubs aren't taking points at the big teams. It's the little teams because you play them 30 times in the season, 32 times in the season. You only play the top teams like 6 times, wherever it is. So just get a draw against them, win against the rest, and you'll win the league.
Mourinho used to get these draws, and they would just call it a defensive masterclass, wouldn't they?
Yeah. So I was going to say exactly the same thing, but you've both beaten me to it. That's what they got with Mourinho. It used to come away. It was a defensive masterclass. Solskjaer does it, and it's something different. So, no.
I was totally listening to what's his name? He was on the show on the Sky on the telly today, and he was saying United should just go for it. Just go for it. Don't you know what they're like if we go for it against Liverpool?
Why?
We go for it against Liverpool, they score 3.
Why go for it against Liverpool? This is a team that hasn't lost at home in seasons. That doesn't happen. It's a fortress. It's a fortress. And having no fans hasn't really made a difference to them at home either. Just be smart. Pick your battles. And this ain't a battle you want to be taking against Liverpool away from home.
Exactly. You know what players are, you know what players you got and what you can do, how you can hurt them, and you've got to hurt them with what you got. As simple as that. And that's why some managers are really good, because they work out, okay, we're playing them today. We don't players that can really go toe-to-toe with them. Let's do this and let's try and get the win. I'm not happy with that, nor is Ollie, because I know once he brings in his players, then he will go toe-to-toe when he knows he can go and have them. But right now, we can't do that. So let's just be happy with what we're doing.
Can Nathan, I've always said that Solskjaer should never be sacked. I've always said that Manchester United are just one player or 2 players away from winning the title. Or no one can say they're going to win the title, challenging for the title. And Eric Bailey's come back. Now, he hasn't been bought. He's like a new signing. Is he that player? Is he that one player that you've missed?
Well, we definitely missed him because we obviously need that. So then we don't have to play Fred and McTominay. That would mean someone like Van der Beek could play, or Pogba can play. Then you've got another attacking player in the front 3 positions. That's what we need. We can't be playing Pogba on the left and the right of the front, in the future. We want to be able to have one player that plays defensively, because like I said, with Bailly, he doesn't need the help. He helps others. But with Maguire and Lindelof, they both need the help. So that's why you have that help. So for me, I think if we had someone like a Haaland up front, like a proper 9 that can get you 20, 30 goals a season, and then you get, hopefully, like I said, our Black Messi who's just come in can do the job and take his position straight away. If we can take that position up and start doing that, I'll be happy. I don't think we might not even need someone like Sancho coming in. I'd rather get like a Haaland. And if Bailly could stay fit, but you never know with Bailly. You never know if he can stay fit, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It is a big problem. We've seen many other strange results in the league so far this weekend as well. We've seen. Brighton picking up points against Leeds. Leeds kind of dropping off a little bit, turning into a bit slightly inconsistent. Chelsea just scraping a win against Fulham. Fulham turning it around this season as well, out of nowhere. But Sheffield United, another loss. Another loss.
I didn't see that today.
Currently sitting bottom of the league. Still, it's looking bleak for them. Surely, I mean, do you know what? I pulled back. I was speaking to someone last night, and they were saying how they can't believe that Sheffield United are in this situation. I said, "Yeah, I know," but Steve and Simon called it. Yeah, and they were like, "Nah." They were like, "Nah, no way did they call it." 29 minutes exactly in the Sheffield United and Fulham season review or season preview. Steve and Si both say Sheffield United will go down this season because they haven't got anyone scoring goals. And the question I put to them was, can you see them staying up, scoring the same amount of goals they did last season? And the answer was no. And it's shown that that's the problem. You can't just be a defensive team that doesn't score goals as well and hope that you can stay up in the season. How long do you think he's got, Steve?
Well, I said the only saving, excuse me, the only saving grace that Chris Wilder's got is the fact that I still don't believe they're going to sack him because I think he's just part of the furniture. And I think if they did go down, I think they'd want Chris Wilder at the helm to bring them back up. So I think he's got a good chance. I don't think they should sack him because so many people do sack their manager. Some people, and they still go down. And then you look at it and you think, wow, they should have kept with the manager they had, gone down with that manager to bring him back up, and then to go on again. So I think with a bit of heart and a bit of brain that he won't get the sack, but. You never know. The reason why I say that as well, I think he would have got the sack by now.
Yeah,
because he's on 2 points and 3 points, and I think he would have gone by now if he was getting the sack.
Nathan, what would you do if you was chairman? Are you keeping Chris Wilder in the job, or are you looking elsewhere?
You know what? It's always a hard one because if you go up. And you're Sheffield United, and obviously they overachieved last year. But and then you might think as a chairman, we should be higher. Or in reality, you can say, you know what? Realistically, we shouldn't have even. We punched above our weight last year, and we're probably going to go down because we haven't actually invested enough to make that happen. So it's not the manager's fault, but he's a good manager. He got us up. He knows what he's doing. So to be fair, I'm going to stick with him. And I'm going to let him, obviously, I'm going to then try and get some funds available to get these extra players in to do the job next time round. Because we all know that like sometimes you can come up, then you haven't got enough to bring in to stay up that next season. So you might have to get relegated and then come back up. And then all of a sudden you can get a few more players and hopefully cement yourself in. But like I said, with last year being such a surprise season for them being so high, kind of probably meant they probably felt they don't need to bring in so much to make it happen again, and look what's happened. You have to keep doing it. So for me, I don't know. It's a hard one because I don't really watch him closely enough to say I'd sack him or I'd just keep him and see what happens next year.
But it must admit it was naive bringing in a £26 million Ryan Brewster as like the only striking reinforcements from the season before, though, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking a lot for a 19-year-old to try and.
Yeah, that hasn't worked, has it?
Untested.
Yeah, that hasn't worked. I mean, it was one of them ones. It was either going to work or it wasn't, and he was either going to hit the ground running and score 15, 20 goals a season, or it was one of those ones that was going to come unstuck. And unfortunately for Sheffield United fans and Chris Wilder and Ryan Brewster himself, it just doesn't seem to be a move that's going to be good for him or good for Sheffield United. I mean, I think they should have looked at the Championship. I think they should have looked at the top strikers in the Championship and brought one of those in, someone who's used to it in the back of the net, on a daily basis, in a top league, because that's what the Championship is. Maybe like an Ivan Toney or someone like that, or someone of that ilk. But yeah, they're worrying.
Yeah, it's worrying. But a team who's sort of starting to look on the up, not on the up, but sort of here and there gathering points is West Brom. They managed to pick up 3 points again, or for Statham Allardyce's first 3 points yesterday, in a 3-2 win over Wolves. I mean, can they stay up? Can they do it? Can Sam Allardyce keep his perfect record? Jerome, what do you reckon?
It's possible, isn't it? The thing is with this league is when you're at the bottom, apart from Sheffield United, is literally a few results and it can all change. And winning at Wolves, that's such a good result. Like, not a lot of teams win at Molineux. So literally, if you'd have asked me a week ago, I'd have probably said, nah, there's hardly any chance. But because they've won a game, it's like you look at the league table, you look at the points, and it's like, you know what, they win a few more games and they're out of the relegation zone. So I think the thing is, they've got a chance, haven't they? Now they've definitely got a chance. So if I had to put my house on it, I'd maybe say no, but they got a chance.
Nathan, can your old team stay up? Can they do the magic? Can they recreate that history where they was at Christmas, they were bottom, the magical pictures of Kieran Richardson on the shoulders, the last game, Brian Robson? Can they do it?
The thing is, it's always a tough ask. But if you want to have the right things in place to try and make it happen, you've got the right things there. You've got Sam Allardyce, who knows what he's doing, and how to make the most out of the players he's got, and how to nullify or make, to take advantage of other weaknesses in other teams. He's able to do that. He's a good manager at doing that. So, like I said, it's going to be very tough because it's, Premier League doesn't take no prisoners, to be fair. You win a couple, you got to go on a streak. You just have to. So that was a very, very great game, to be honest. I don't expect Wolves to lose games like that, to be honest. Like, because now I see them for some reason, like as a 5th, 6th team all the time. But this season, they're just, surprise results happening as well with them. So, I hope they stay up. I hope West Brom stay up. But it's just one of them ones where you just got to get closer to the end of the season and see if they're in with a shout. Then I'll say, yeah, I'll favour them staying up. But they have to get out of there first. Get up, get a few more points, get another couple wins, and then I'll say, yeah, it's not just a one game. Let's see them get another couple games, wins in the next 5 games. Let's see 2 wins in the next 5, and then I'll say, yeah.
It's that's the thing. When you're down the bottom, it's hard to see any of them teams getting 2 wins on the trot. Simon, exactly. West Brom. I know you shook your head earlier. And you're saying they can't do it. They took points off of Wolves. Is there any chance West Brom could stay up, Si?
No.
No.
I think Sheffield United. West Brom, and Newcastle will go down.
Yeah. You think they get dragged into it?
Yeah, Newcastle don't really look in a good place at the minute. I mean, they played well against us in the FA Cup, but let's be honest, we've just got nothing to begin with. So I just think Newcastle, you watch them, you see them in games, you just see the players sometimes not even trying. They're not bothered. The tactics from Steve Bruce, there's not really much there. They're lucky that fans are not in the stadium, because I think Steve Bruce would have been gone ages ago.
Yeah.
So I do see Newcastle slipping down, but I see West Brom still staying there, because I watched the game against Wolves. They weren't very impressive against Wolves. Wolves have got no striker whatsoever.
I'll get on to Wolves in a sec.
Wolves have got no striker. Yeah, they've got no striker.
They've lost Jimenez. Traore seems to be a bit head's not quite there. What do you is it just down to Jimenez not being there that you think they've dropped off in the league so much this season?
I think basically it's a little bit of Jimenez, but it's also that they're brilliant when they go from the back to the midfield and they attack from the flanks. They're brilliant at that, but when they get in front of goal, it's like today, obviously, with your Liverpool coming through Man United, they're trying to walk through them. They've got no striker. They've got no one to put the ball in the back of the net. I've just watched the first half with City, and they're the same. Gabriel Jesus is doing nothing. They're missing that Aguero City.
Yeah.
That they're missing that striker. It's Kevin De Bruyne doing everything. Literally having to do everything.
You know what? Sometimes I watch Man City and it's almost as if, it's almost as if Man City De Bruyne is frustrated it as well. He's not got someone in front of him that can put away the chances that he could be creating. Because Sterling they can't keep putting Sterling up top and thinking that's going to do the job.
Yeah.
You're never going to win the league with Raheem Sterling up top.
Well, that's the problem. They're crossing the ball in, and Kevin De Bruyne is whipping it in. De Bruyne is whipping it in, and you've got Sterling that's a hobbit, and you've got Jesus that's like a hobbit, and is expecting them to basically dribble past people and put it in net. It's not going to work. And De Bruyne, when he got his assist in that first half, didn't even celebrate. He just fist pumped to everyone and just shook his head like this. So he's annoyed at the minute. But that's the thing with West Brom. When you watched them against Wolves, Pereira was their best player. Everything was going through him. But no one was helping him. Nobody at West Brom was helping him.
But the thing is, that they are trying to bring in players as well. I think what Sam Allardyce is noticed is he's spotted the talent. He's spotted who's good, and that's Pereira. He wants everything to go through him, and he's looking into to bring in players. So yeah, I think West Brom's a tough one. Wolves are dropping in though. Espirito Santo's also been told that they won't be able to bring in players in January. So, yeah, it's a bit of a tough one.
Leeds ain't having a good time of it at the moment.
I was just about to say Leeds are kind of.
They won't get dragged into it though. I don't think they will because they've got that bit of quality to do certain games.
They got that bit of quality.
They need to keep that 11 fit. There's not much else away from it. So.
And it's almost as if we knew that Rodrigo wasn't a goal scorer, but he does need to start tapping in with a few to take the pressure off of Bamford. You can't keep expecting Bamford, who you probably didn't expect to be smashing in this many goals this season, to keep on coming up with the goods. And it seems like when he's not scoring for them, they're not getting goals from elsewhere either.
Is his job in danger?
I don't think it would ever be in danger because he's a special. He's a special one, isn't he? And the thing is,
it'd be more in danger than Sheffield United's Chris Wilder. Put it that way. Wilder's going nowhere.
What I think it is with Leeds is we've put an expectation on Leeds. They play good football. They're nice on the eye. They can also defend when they want to. They're a really good team. So we're expecting them to move up the table. And they seem to have dropped a few points against teams that you're probably expecting them to maybe get a winner out of. But we've got to remember they are a newly Premier League team. So
exactly.
It's always going to have its ups and downs. And just stepping up that level and consistency.
You see, when you look at the league table, I can't see how Leeds. They may be one or two positions higher at the end of the season, but I can't see why they would be higher than wherever they are right now. That would reflect like a probably the position.
That's where they'll finish.
Look at the table. Look who's ahead of them. You can't expect them to beat them.
Yeah, I think
a couple positions. That's it.
Yeah, I think teams like Burnley are the ones that need to worry. They're 4 points ahead of Fulham, and Fulham just seem to be picking up points. They're not picking up wins, but they seem to just be picking up points.
They're playing well though as well. They're playing really well.
Yeah,
they were better than Chelsea in that first half.
I think who you said, Si. Yeah, Simon, I think what you just said about the three is going to go down. I agree with that, but I'd say between Brighton and Newcastle are for the third team. I can't see Burnley going down. And the way Fulham been playing, even against Liverpool and even yesterday, they play some good stuff and they look like they've got enough to really snatch a few wins from now to the end of the season.
You can also chuck a curveball in there as well. if you could throw Arsenal in there. You could throw Arsenal in there. Because if they do not get any results, basically, from our midfield, which is terrible, and we are scraping, let's be honest, we're scraping results as well.
Don't start me tonight with that.
No, but I'm being serious. I'm being honest. You could drag us down there.
Arsenal aren't getting dragged into a relegation battle. They're not.
They're
not
on
getting
12
dragged.
points, the third position from bottom. No chance.
Yeah, we got double points of Fulham. I don't think Arsenal will ever get dragged in a.
That's not even a conversation. It's ridiculous. It's not even.
I think Fulham have played better than us at the Emirates.
No, not yet.
It's not.
Shearer
They play
tried.
better football, but you lot won't be better.
Yeah, the reason why even if there's teams that play better football than Arsenal, but they're more likely to go down because Arsenal have got more quality in their squad than the other teams, and that will drag them through. But
Arsenal win one game. They're in the top half. So where the going down thing comes from,
well, I'm just saying, if we beat Newcastle on Monday, right? So we beat Newcastle, but then we've got a really tough run of fixtures coming up. We could easily be straight back down in 17th, 16th, 17th. It's not unrealistic.
Arsenal have Newcastle in the league, then they've got Southampton, then they've got Wolves who are in bad form.
Too.
Then they've got a Leeds at Leeds home. That'll be a tough game.
They're not hard games.
Man United at the Emirates. Liverpool at the Emirates.
In the Premier League, like if you're looking at it, like teams in the top four should be thinking Southampton win, Wolves tough game but win, Leeds win.
Nobody can think that.
But Arsenal will be thinking Newcastle win, Southampton tough win, Wolves draw, Leeds win. Hope.
I tell you what, though, if you think this is bad, Arsenal, I tell you, you would have seen over Highbury when I've watched them over the last 25 years.
Thank you.
I tell you what.
13th in the league.
Then you're no bad.
Back to back.
Then you're no bad.
Yeah.
Then you're no bad.
When we won the League Cup, we were 13th in the league. 11th.
Absolutely disgracing.
3 years in a trot. It was.
But everybody loved it. Oh, we're in the FA Cup. We're in the League Cup.
It was honestly, those days were.
Come on, man.
John Jensen. You think Granit Xhaka's rubbish? John Jensen.
Don't even get me started on
Get
Granit
in the
Xhaka.
bin, mate.
I want a one-on-one with everybody. I'm done with it.
Having a laugh. You kids don't know you're born. I tell you that.
Francis Jeffers.
Honestly, Francis Jeffers weren't bad. Arsenal have had, mate. Trust me, sire. Seriously, I'm not joking. Arsenal have had some bad players for the year.
You haven't lived.
We have lived. Did you ever see Glenn Elder?
George Ware's cousin. No, that was Southampton, wasn't it? Yeah, that was not Arsenal.
I tell you what, Glenn Elder had his days though. Glenn Elder had
Ali Dyer.
Ali Dyer came on as a sub, got subbed off.
Jerome, what was the Ipswich?
You'll be annoyed on Sunday League if that happened, didn't you?
What was the Ipswich? That's it.
Chris Kawanya. Hey, Chris Kawanya. I used to rate him when I was a kid. Chris Kawanya. Chris Kawanya. He weren't bad.
We've opened something now, haven't we? God.
He weren't bad, Chris Kawanya. You don't know. You don't know, mate. Stefan Schwartz. Like, we've had some players,
Stefan Schwartz.
We've had some players. Trust me.
Mate.
Reminiscing.
Yeah.
Talking about Granit Xhaka, you must be nuts.
I'm not having that no more. That's done. I've finished. I've built anybody who wants to talk about that.
All right. It's now time to get on to the main subject, which is Holland. It's that time. Nathan.
You're not going, are you?
Well, I don't want to kick you off. Yes.
Oh my god!
He wants to have watch a rerun of the match.
I've got another 10 in me.
All right,
we could leave him on with James.
Got another 10. No, making the sub. No, not yet.
No, don't take me off. Don't take me off.
All right. Hey, you got 10 to prove your worth, son.
This is like watching Bruno Fernandes go off.
Kepa, come on. I'm all right.
It's not. It's Bruno and Genie today.
All right. And as we get onto the Dutch subject, we've got the man who joined us first, who graced us with his presence first of all, when we were a mere no one, when we had 2 followers, and one of them was me, the other one was Steve. It's James Rowe. How you doing, James? It's good to have you back.
Great to be back, guys. I hope everybody's keeping well, and a belated Happy New Year to all. Lovely to be back.
Thank you, James. Nice to have you back, mate.
James, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. Since you first came on, I think it must have been about 8 months ago when you first joined us, when it was our first show or second show.
Yeah,
you've done so much, mate. Tell the viewers what you've done. Some of the people you've interviewed before we get onto the Dutch subject of Ruud van Nistelrooy and so and so. Fill us in.
Well, for listeners that might not be aware of me, as Kieran and Steve quite rightly point out, I was on one of your very first shows. I've been interviewing professional players and managers for more than 4.5 years now. And since we last spoke, I've gone on to interview the likes of Simon Barker, Jamie Carragher, among others. And last October, I was contacted by the publisher of The Secret Footballer. And they've asked me if they can publish my interviews once a week going forward. So it's really been a very busy time with lots of interviews with players and managers from all different levels of world football. I always say that every professional player or manager, regardless of level, always has a story to tell. And there really is something for everybody. And it's nice to be rewarded for the hard work of the last 4.5 years. But I remember the early days, guys, of going to places here in the Netherlands that not even Dutch people go to. Going to the likes of Zwolle and
the ghettos.
Breda and Hertogenbosch to interview unknown players and managers. And then before you know it, you're speaking to the assistant chief executive of the PFA and the likes of Jamie Carragher and Dutch players based in different countries. And I always say that everyone's got a story to tell, and it's about treating everybody the same. You know, there's no hairs and graces, whether it's Jamie Carragher, whether it's a Dutch player playing his trade in Denmark. You know, not every footballer has a legacy, but every footballer has a story. And the important thing is to get that story out and to write the best possible piece that you can write.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Thank you
Well, it's
very
easy
much.
to say James has outgrown us.
Yeah, no. Along the way, James given me some advice as well. I wrote my first piece for the World Football Index. Piece I did on the former Angola manager. James gave me some tips and hints on that and how to do it and how to get on the Football Index. So I thank you for that, James, mate. So yeah, thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. And I'm delighted to see you all doing so well. I'm delighted, because everyone has to start somewhere. And, you've got so many people trying to get into such a small space. But the most important thing is that you keep your integrity at all times. We're in a world where people will easily sell their principles down the river for a few more likes and a few more retweets. But when you're in the thick of it and you're dealing with technical directors and you're dealing with players and you're dealing with managers and you're dealing with agents, you've got to remember at all times, especially from my point of view, you've got to remember at all times that you're dealing with professionals and you have to treat them with respect. And as I say, the only thing that changes for me is obviously the language upon which I'm interviewing, because obviously when you're interviewing Dutch players, you speak to them in their mother tongue, and that kind of shines through now. And it's just about making sure that you remember where you come from. And as I say, just keep trying to work hard and do the best you can.
Nice one, James. Well done, mate.
Nice one. Well done. So one of the things that you've used, I saw that you've done a little write-up about was Ruud van Nistelrooy and the fact that he's going to be taking over the head role at PSV next season.
Young PSV, not the actual PSV job.
Young PSV.
The
youth
team, or the promising team, they call it, the Belofta. Which translates to promising. He's going to be taking charge of them as of next season. So he'll be playing his trade in the Dutch First Division, and he will. He said by his own admission, so long as he keeps enjoying it, he will continue his way into management. He's very, very relaxed, very much a family man as well. And, to touch on Van Persie as well, Van Persie was linked with a move back to coaching Feyenoord almost straight away as soon as he retired. And he did an interview with a Dutch football channel where he said, that he's got commitments in family life. And he knew that if you're going to train a young group of under 13s or under 12s, that you've still got to turn up every day at 8:30 in the morning and still arrange your sessions and still make sure that you've got everything on point. But I think Ruud van Nistelrooy, I think he'll do well. He doesn't want to run before he can walk, and it's important to learn your trade. Here in the Netherlands, they're also very big on making sure you've got all your papers and making sure you can do what you say you can do. But I think it's a nice step for him. He's got what they call here in the Netherlands, what they call it like a staat van dienst, which means he's achieved so much in his career that young people will look up to him, and I'm sure he'll do very well.
Yeah, they've got a very prestigious youth team as well, PSV. So he's got some big shoes to fill there.
He has, but I think he'll enjoy it. I think that's the most important thing is that you enjoy it. PSV, they're on a kind of crest of a wave with the manager they have now in Rogier Smit, and who did good work at Salzburg and did good work in the past. So they're riding the crest of a wave back. And, they could be pushing Ajax all the way with the title, although I think it'll go to the end of the season. But as I say, that as someone who's watched the Eredivisie firsthand for well over a decade now, it's an acquired taste, and there's always gems to be found, young players to be found, and it's just about picking them out and following their career and finding that diamond in the rough.
Yeah, we will get onto a couple of players soon. But you mentioned that the title looks like it could be going to the wire this season, and I have had a look myself. I see that it's like 4 teams still in there as well. So, and PSV pushed Ajax the other week or last week with a 2-2 draw. Ajax coming from behind, 2-0 from behind. What's been the difference this year? Do you think with PSV and AZ probably more than Feyenoord?
Well, in the case of AZ Alkmaar, as I've said before, they've really reaped the benefit of reinvigorating their youth team. They remodeled their training grounds, heavily invested in youth, and you see with the likes of Calvin Stengs and Darren Koopmeiners that they're really reaping the benefits. Koopmeiners in particular, he's such a young head on, such an experienced head on young shoulders. A great dead ball specialist, captain of AZ, and Myron Boadu as well. It's got great pace about him, and AZ obviously relieved the manager of their duties just before their last Europa League game, which unfortunately went south for them, but. They're really reaping the benefits of invested in youth like they've done. And as I've said before on different platforms, here in the Netherlands, clubs are supervised by the Dutch FA. If your books are not in order, you can receive sanctions which range from anything to fines to points deduction to your license being revoked. And if that happens to a club where your professional license is revoked, if you don't heed your warnings, it means that you play amateur football. I mean, you couldn't imagine that happening in the Premier League, could you?
Oh, wow.
Spends beyond their means, has their license revoked, and ends up playing in the amateur leagues. It happened as recently as there was a team called RBC Roosendaal who played Eredivisie football in the 2006-2007 season. No, 2005-2006, if my memory serves me rightly. And they had financial difficulty, but here in the Netherlands, clubs have to hand their books into the Dutch FA at the KNVB, and they get supervised in terms of categories. Category A, category B, category C, in terms of the money which is coming in, the money which is going out, which is why you don't see the £1 million transfers, which is why you don't necessarily see big names being brought in from abroad. It's always about the youth element. And I'm very pleased to see Jacob Rasmussen in particular doing well for Vitesse. I interviewed him a couple of years ago when he was playing for Empoli, and he was telling me about his journey to becoming a professional footballer. And it's nice when you interview someone from a while back to see their career grow and to see them be in a settled side in a good division. And always a nice touch and always nice to see. Yeah.
Before we do move on, Nathan, thank you for coming on again. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure we're going to see smiles next week with Man United sitting pretty at the top. But yeah, until then, thank you for coming on. Take care, man.
Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see
Cheers,
you next
mate.
week.
All right,
Bye.
sweet.
Ciao,
See you
mate.
later, mate.
See you
See you
later.
later, man.
Right.
All right, so a couple of players have got the guys to look at because their names keep on popping up again and again with moves in the summer. One of them being Calvin Stengs is one that you mentioned when we first had our interview about a year ago, James. And the other one was Donnell Mayland. Another one you mentioned. He's been linked to a move to Borussia Dortmund. Do you think they're ready to make the big moves? Do you think they're ready to go to Dortmund or the Premier League or Spain? Because Stengs was most recently linked to Barcelona, I think it was.
I think in the case of Steng, first and foremost, it's important to remember that he's come back from an awful knee injury. And when he sustained that knee injury, people were fearing for his career in terms of would he be able to get back, and then he trained really, really hard, and then he come back and then some. He's a very pacey winger, but he's also got a brain on him. And I wonder, I think he himself, the gap between Ozil Alkmaar and Barcelona, it's absolutely massive. And I think personally, a move to Italy would suit him better in terms of the pace. To touch on Marlon as well, he was also linked with Arsenal and also Dortmund, as you say, recently. He also came back from a knee injury. He was operated this time last year. So this time last year, he was convalescing with his injury. And I think what is vitally important to let people know is, having spoken to many different players and managers at all different levels, particularly with young players that move abroad for the first time, for the majority of them, it's the first time in their lives that they live independently, that they learn to care for themselves, that they learn to stand on their own 2 feet. And I think this is a facet which is forgotten by many football fans, where, I've spoken to many players where they say when they go abroad for the first time, the club is literally their family. And if you don't play, as in the case of Donny van der Beek at the moment, you wonder what's going through Van Beek's head tonight. I mean, after the draw, Manchester United-Liverpool tonight, I tweeted out that you wonder what must be going through his mind, because, it appeared to be only a question of time before he was going to Real Madrid. It appeared to be the most worst-kept secret in Dutch football that Van der Beek would be going to Real Madrid. And all of a sudden, that didn't materialise. And at the moment, he's currently sitting on the bench. And in the words of Van Basten, who gave his 2 pennies on a Dutch football show a couple of weeks ago, he said it's not healthy. It's not healthy for such a young player who's captained Ajax, won with Ajax, been involved with the national team. It's healthy. It's not healthy for him to not be playing. Yeah. And I can see this being Donny van der Beek's only season at Manchester United. And as I say, I think a lot of people think that every transfer is end of the rainbow stuff, and it quite simply isn't. I've spoken to players in the past where a transfer has made their career and literally broken their career, and you have to be very, very careful. One thing I've learned in the last 4.5 years especially is timing is everything in football. Timing is of a transfer, timing of a manager coming in, of a different formation. I'll give you an example. Many Manchester United fans would know Alexander Butner, who won the Premier League. They'd know him as a left-back. He was a central midfielder up until his late teens and early 20s. And then he was playing central midfield. And then John van der Brom, who's now manager of Genk in Belgium, previously managed Utrecht and AZ Alkmaar, he came to Vitesse and he said to Alexander Butner, I'm going to play your left-back. And when I interviewed Alexander Butner back in April of this year, he said to me, it literally changed my entire career, changed my life. He said, my career took off from that moment. From a new manager coming in and saying, right, I'm not going to play you central midfield anymore. I'm going to play you as a left-back. And then he goes on to win the Premier League. He's now at New England in the United States. So I think a lot of people that advocate, in the case of, I'm an Arsenal supporter, I have been for more than 30 years, particularly the younger generation of Arsenal, it's all about buy. And they seem to put reputation and name above hard work and character. Like, for example, Arsenal have 33 players on the books, and all of us, but we've still got to buy more and more. We're loaning out the likes of Ballard and McGuinness, who are both doing exceptionally well. And so there's no need to go out and buy there's no need to go out and buy yet another centre half. But just to carry on my short point as regards to Arsenal and the fans and the clamour, I don't see a lot of people turning their attentions to the owner. And in the case of Kroenke, we have an owner who just sees Arsenal as a healthy investment. That's it. He's not based in England. I don't particularly think he cares. And what Arsenal need going forward is a hands-on, proactive owner who's got the courage to say, I ain't giving you money for another defender because you've already got 11 of them. If you have to sell before you buy. And at the moment, until a new owner comes in at Arsenal, I can't see any significant progress. And people seem to, certainly the younger fans, not all of them, because, there are some very intelligent fans out there in every fan base, but particularly with the Arsenal fan base at the moment, we've got to get things right off the pitch before we can get right things on it. People seem to have very short memories that we haven't won the league for 16 years. People seem to be mourning of the fact that Mesut Ozil's leaving. Maybe a lot of fanboys will leave along with him.
500,000.
When I tweeted the other day, I tried to give an example of Dennis Bergkamp and Ozil. And the grief I got, I didn't even say anything derogatory about Ozil. I was just making a point of what Bergkamp did when he was at Inter and when he was at Ajax. And you would not believe some of these so-called, they're not Arsenal fans, they're Ozil fans. They would describe Arsenal as a tiny club in London. Now, we're anything but that. We used to be the flagship of London. So sadly, we're no longer that. But that's our own fault. But people. It is strange how the landscape changes. I mean, I'm not that old, but my footballing hero was Paul Merson. He was my hero when I was a kid, and I still, every time I get the opportunity to listen to him, I listen to him. And some of the goals he scored for Arsenal, some of the titles that he won, some of the FA Cups he won. He remains one of the greatest Arsenal players I've ever seen. And then you've got some of the fan base slagging off Paul Merson to high heaven because they don't like his opinion. But the fact remains they never saw him play for Arsenal. They never saw what he did for Arsenal. And I think people have got very, very short memories in that respect.
But I think, James, as well, some of our fan base don't look at our history. I mean, when I was younger, I used to not just watch Arsenal tapes or Arsenal. I used to dig out my dad's old tapes of Best and Marsh and Match of the 70s. And I used to watch all games. I used to watch every single bit of football I could get my hands on. And I'd learn about the Arsenal history. I'd ask my dad about how good was this player? How good was that player? I'd learn about Charlie George and Charlie Nicholas and all these players and Liam Brady. And I'd find footage of them. Or if I didn't, my dad would explain how good they were and who they were like in comparison to what I'm watching now. These kids aren't interested in that. That was old football. It was rubbish then. Now it's better. And it's that mentality. It's the mentality of Pele scored 1,000 goals. I'm not having that. He's not even in the same conversation as Messi and Ronaldo. Well, you can't do that. It's just because it was what it was at the time.
That's why I blame the club as well. I blame Arsenal Football Club themselves for that and the Twitter because they don't do anything to educate the fans. I saw that Liam Brady tweet and the amount of abuse that player got. I've always said if they put something up of Rocastle and anyone said anything bad, I would literally go for that person because you need to know what you're actually saying and you need to watch that player before you know what you're saying. Because I've seen one person go, Ozil should have a statue instead of Dennis Bergkamp. Look what he's done. And it's like, are you kidding me?
No.
Honestly, are you? It's not in the same breath.
No, it's not even a conversation. Like I'm not having conversations with those people. I'm not.
But Arsenal Twitter, they need to start doing stuff as well like that. Like George Graham. They've started talking about George Graham now because people have pulled them up on it. They did something about Herbert Chapman a few weeks ago. Nobody mentioned anything underneath. You had like the old timers and stuff that mentioned something because they knew who that was. Young kids were like, "Who's this? Who's this? Who's this guy? Was he a manager?" It's like, are you kidding me? He built the foundations for Arsenal now, and it annoys me so much.
Go on.
But our Twitter guy is a Southampton fan, so what do we expect?
That shouldn't matter, though.
That's also coming. That's so big. That shouldn't matter, as you say, but it's about professionalism. It's about professionalism. The smallest, minute details, like you said, like Simon says, I've come to be aware that our Twitter guy is a Southampton fan. But you'd think that you're in a position with a lot of responsibility, and you've got to do your job to the best of your ability. And in the case of, as Simon quite rightly points out, if it wasn't for Herbert Chapman, we wouldn't be in the position we are today. You wouldn't even have shirt numbers. You wouldn't even have the W formation. You wouldn't
have Arsenal.
As I say, the ignorance. You wouldn't have Arsenal. You wouldn't have, like, for example, the changing of Gillespie Road to Arsenal. That's also a story within itself. And as I say, we used to have such high standards, and they are slowly slipping away. We are in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, and safety is the most important thing. I find myself saving hard to get back to go into particular away games, because it's a right laugh with your mates, and win, lose or draw, it doesn't matter. It's just about having fun. But as Simon quite rightly points out, I'm starting not to recognise my club anymore, and it's quite sad because.
Oops.
Oh, Arsenal have managed to find James's internet connection, and they've cut him off before he talks badly about Arsenal anymore.
You're laughing, they're probably watching.
Before we get James back, Jerome, you had a little look at Calvin Stengs and Dollar Malin. For anyone that doesn't really know too much about them, what kind of players are they, and do you think they've got what it takes before we go to Steve and Si?
Yeah. James looks like he's coming back. Just very quickly with Herbert Chapman, I'll tell you what he brought to the game as well. He was the first one in England to bring floodlights.
Right, here we go.
Floodlights, right. So Calvin Stengs, for anyone that hasn't seen him play, the player that he reminds me of is a bit like Leroy Sané. He used to play for City. Winger, very light on his feet when he dribbles past players. And he's got an absolute wand of a left foot. Very, very unpredictable player. But I think he looks top drawer. That's my opinion on him.
Yeah.
And Donyell Malin is a guy that was on Arsenal's books. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, he was actually he joined Arsenal from Ajax's academy, and he cites his main reasons why he joined Arsenal is because his heroes were Henry and Bergkamp. That's like the reason he came to Arsenal.
And then he didn't. Well, for Arsenal, didn't make the grade, or they got rid of him.
I think he decided. I think he got offered a contract. James might know, but I believe he got offered a contract at Arsenal, but he didn't think he was going to play enough first team games, so he decided to leave. And Arsenal only received about maybe £500,000 in compensation for him, and now he's worth. He could be worth 30, 40, 50 million pounds, perhaps. He wouldn't get sold for 10 million pounds. He's worth some serious money.
Yeah.
He's just recently broken into the Dutch team as well, and so much talent.
He's got a bit of everything, hasn't he?
Yeah, balance, finishing, very direct when he gets the ball.
Am I right in saying that was his touch last week that played in PSV for that first goal? James, did you see the game?
Yeah, well, the game was sorry for the technology glitch just a second ago. By the way, it wasn't delivered.
Yeah, they kicked me off and all.
That's right. That wasn't a glitch,
sorry, I went on. Professionalism is the most important thing, of course. It was a great game last week. Also, his finish as well, and as Jerome quite rightly points out, that was the case why he left Arsenal. Because he wanted to play. He realises that the most important thing is to play. And I think he's going to be very careful if Arsenal was to come back in and, of history repeating itself. And I'm sure he'll have lots of different offers. And be interesting to see what happens. But I thought Jerome's comparison about Leroy Sané was very apt. So very well done there, Jerome. I thought it was a very good comparison. And it will be very interesting to see how he grows going forward. I think he's got a head on him as well. I can't see him making the wrong decision in that respect.
Yeah, he's very integral to AZ Alkmaar at the moment. Steve, do you think these two have got what it takes to really do it on the big stage? And if so, when? Do you think they need another season or two over there?
That's the big $1 million question. I mean, the timing has to be right.
Yeah.
For when they leave and when they go on to another club. But going on to the players, first Stings. Obviously, I think Jerome and James have probably seen a lot more than Stings than I have, and they're sort of saying he was on the wings. And I must admit, I've seen him on the wings, but the clips that I've seen, the games that I've watched, he seems to come in a hell of a lot in the middle of the park. He seems to drag in, and he's very sort of playing in the middle. Then he'll go left, and then he will go right. And he reminds me a lot of Mesut Ozil. If you have a look at him, if you click the very first thing on YouTube and watch it, as I say, James does a lot more on Jerome, but I'm just going by what I've seen. His movement, the way he stops the ball, lays off the ball, the way
very intelligent, isn't he?
Very, very intelligent, clever. He's not just a whacking going down the wing. That's not what I see anyway. Mm-hmm. He kept moving into that middle, and he turned with great balance. And sometimes when you look at these things and they show you the skills and the thing of a footballer, a lot of the highlights for this guy was literally of him getting the ball, turning a player in the middle of the field and laying it off. Mm. And that reminded me a lot of Mesut Ozil, of what he does, turning, moving out to the left, moving out to the right. It reminded me of him potentially for me, he's potentially world class.
Yeah. Well, that's what Barcelona are going in for a minute.
Wherever he ends up, he's just, for me, he's potentially world class. I think he can play in any area, and it seemed like, as I say, the clips that I've seen, it wasn't old games, but he just seemed to be everywhere. Mm-hmm. He just to be playing all over the place. And as for Mayland, the guy's an absolute beast.
Yeah.
I mean, he has everything.
Unit as well, and he's a unit. He's got a lovely touch.
Yeah, he's a pest.
Yeah.
He's an absolute pest. He can do everything. Left foot, right foot, gets him where it hurts with his head. And again, I wouldn't want to be up against him. And he just one of these bright-eyed players who just wants to pick up the ball, run at players, and he's strong. I think these two players are absolutely bang on to go to a Barcelona or a Real Madrid or a Manchester United or a Man City. Yeah, but when is the $20 million question?
And that's the thing. It's when you don't want them going too early. You worry about if these clubs come in too early for these players and they don't settle. Like, you're talking about real serious talent. I mean, it'll be a injustice to football if someone like Calvin Stings was to go to Barcelona now, sit on the bench and waste 2 or 3 years of his career to then move on to someone to then not be the same player that he was going to, because his development had been
we had a look at these two players a few months ago, right? And they're not that now. Their development from where they were then, which they was class then, that you could see what they had, to what they are now, they've gone up another level.
I think I remember from when James spoke to me about Stengs and Mayland. I had to look at them then, and I totally agree that I think they've come on. Even in that short space of time, they've had injuries. Mayland came back from that injury and he's looking sharp now. Si, do you think Mayland's got what it takes to maybe even come back in the Premier League? Maybe do it at Barcelona or to Borussia Dortmund.
Well, this is the question I wanted to ask James, because we've seen the situation with Van der Beek. And basically all these talent that they've got in Holland, and they have got some unbelievable young kids coming through. Has Manchester United killed their chance in the Premier League with how they've treated Van der Beek? Because we can say that the guy from PSV, the guy from Feyenoord, the guy from here and here, and he could make it in the Premier League. Van der Beek's come to the Premier League and he's sat on the bench doing nothing. Our players looking at that and going, I'm staying away from England.
Yeah, or I'm staying away from that particular club. And I think particularly, Stengs in particular, I think he'd be fully aware of that. And as you say, you know, in the case of Van der Beek, you know, captained Ajax, was involved with the national team, won with Ajax, was in an integral part of their Champions League campaign. You know, a career goes by in the blink of an eye. Blink and you miss it. And the time that he's losing, you know, obviously I can't see him leaving in January, Van der Beek, but I do think this will be his only season at Manchester United. And as I go back to what I said earlier on in the podcast, timing is everything in football. Timing of a manager coming in. That's why I gave the example of Van der Bonham and Alexander Butner. You know, the player himself didn't even see that coming, but yet it was the manager that influenced him to do that, and his career kind of took off. And I think fans as well in some quarters are also a little bit guilty of, he could fit in. You're talking about human beings that lead lives, that have commitments in terms of being a parent. You know, you don't necessarily want to uproot your child out of a school and then go and live in a country where you don't understand the language and things like that. So I think the younger generation are being a bit more conscious of that.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier on, I do feel for Van Dijk. In the case of Marlon and Stengs, I think Dortmund could be a good. I think Dortmund could be a good move for Marlon, and I think as well. I think Stengs. I think Serie A, maybe a Milan or a Lazio. I think could be a good move. You know,
yeah, it's a
the
good
pace
shout.
of Serie A as well. Obviously, he's done ever so well to come back from his injury. But I think if you ask me what would be best for both players, I think for Marlon, Dortmund would be a good move, and I think for Calvin Stengs, I think possibly Lazio.
I think with Donny van der Beek, I mean, when he's gone to Man United, he sat down with Solskjaer. They've had to have a chat on what the reason why he's there, the reason why he's bought him, what plans they've got for him. Yeah, that's common. That's common sense. You know, they must have had that conversation. So if he's either got to get sold, and the Man United have lied to him. You know,
they've lied to him.
Or he's a replacement for somebody in the summer.
Yeah, that's what my initial thought was. But the way what we're hearing, it sounds like he's been lied to.
But yes, because Pogba's contract runs out in 2022.
Yeah, and it should have gone this season.
Right. So that means he would have to be sold in the summer. Right? Yeah. Now, nobody can afford Pogba this summer. So he's not going anywhere. Forget it. He's not going nowhere, Pogba. Right? He's going nowhere. So that puts Van der Beek in the toilet. Right? But surely they must have had a conversation when he's first gone there and they've sat down with his agent and they've told him what they want from him. This is what as Donny van der Beek, you know, sort of like, I don't know. I just would love to have been in that room because I can't believe. Oh yeah, Donny, you're going to play. You're going to go into the midfield. If they've said to him, right, stick with it, stay with us, bear with us through what's name, and then when Pogba goes, we've got to sell him. But I just can't see it.
I can't see that they've gone to Donny van der Beek and said anything but you're going to be an integral part to this team. For him to go from being Ajax captain, playing week in, week out, being one of the main men there, to then go to go to Man United and sit on the bench or be a squad player.
I stand by what I said. They couldn't bring in Sancho. They brought Donny in because he's a name. I stand by what I said.
Okay,
but Donny van der Beek is an intelligent human being.
That's what I'm talking about.
When he sat down, I can't believe they ain't sat down. And if they've said, "Oh, we want you to do this, you're an integral part of the team," if that was me, I'd be going, "Well, hold on a minute. You've got Pogba, you've got Fernandes, you've got so and so, you've got him.
Yeah.
Where exactly am I going? Where are you going to put me? Where am I played?"
So there's one thing.
Is he thick?
I don't know. There's one thing. There's one thing in what you're saying, Si, is what Man United may have done, but Donny van de Beek as a player himself has to then still say yes to the contract, to then
Exactly.
still say yes to the club.
Exactly.
I don't see how Donny van de Beek has looked at the situation at Man United and said, "Do you know what? This is the ideal club for me." Is it just a case that he had in his mind that he wanted to go, and he's just gone, the Real Madrid thing can't happen. Man United are a big club. Do you know what? I'll just go anyway. I was ready to go. Whereas the likes of Nicolas Tagliafico and Anua, the goalkeeper, who were also meant to go, didn't get the clubs that they wanted, so they just stayed for another season and extended their contracts. So maybe that would have been a smarter thing for Donny van de Beek. I mean, in hindsight, okay, but
Dybala was in the same situation. Dybala had the talk. They asked Manchester United, because I know they did there, because who I spoke to, and he asked them, "What are you going to do? What part of me?" And they said, "Well, you're just part of the squad." And he went, "No way, I'm off."
Yeah, exactly.
What you got to remember is Man United are an absolutely massive pool. They're very attractive as a club to go to, and I think what's so shocking about the Van der Beek situation is, as a professional footballer, you know there's going to be competition. You're not going to be guaranteed to play 90 minutes every week. You know there's going to be players in the opposition that you've got to compete with. But what's so shocking about it is the lack of minutes he's played.
Yeah.
Normally when you come in, you might not play every week, but he'll get a good crack at it. He's hardly played at all.
No, this is what I mean.
That's the crazy thing about the situation for me.
James, can I just ask you about? I've got a young player that just you don't mind. We had a guy come on the show, David Weatherston. He was a Norwegian expert, from the I was watching a player that I followed a while now, and his name's Hakan Evgen from AC Alkmaar. What's how is he doing lately? What's he? Has he improved? Has he gone?
Well, in the case of Arsed, they obviously had a little bit of upheaval when their manager was relieved of his duties, because he went behind the club's back and spoke to Feyenoord. The club found out about it and sacked him on the spot, and he will now, Arne Slot, who was doing so well with Arsed, will become Feyenoord manager next season. So the player himself is, obviously the development of the player where he was coming on leaps and bounds under Arne Slot. But I believe he's still managing to get minutes and play regularly and try to kind of gain experience, which is the most important thing. If I can just quickly touch on Van der Beek. Do you guys all remember Philip Sandler, who signed for Manchester City from Pek Zwolle?
No, I don't. Philip Sandler? No.
Yes.
No.
Philip Sandler signed for Manchester City. He signed for Manchester City from Pek Zwolle.
Oh.
I think he's going
What's a daisy?
All right. So,
I'll tell you what, though, that Dutch league is very close this year.
do you know what I was just about to say? With all the talk, of all these top talents coming through in Holland, and it has been for so many years. Why is it that a lot of fans just dismiss the league? I know this, you're looking at the general talent throughout in terms of the other teams and the levels, but people are very quick to dismiss players when they come from these leagues. Yet these leagues are doing better than us in the national league, in the national team. These teams are doing better than us, probably more so in the Europe. And some of these players are being the best players in the world. France, people say it's a farmers' league. Ajax, they say it's a terrible league. Yet they're still producing top talent, which the Premier League teams want, which all these top teams around the world want. Yet they dismiss the league.
It's laziness. It's laziness that they can't be bothered to look into the. They think because 10 years ago the French league and the Dutch league, that people were saying, oh, it's not a good league, and they're assuming that now 10, 15 years later that it's still not a good league. It's laziness that they won't go and have a look, at these players. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's pretty poor. I mean, like we said, we could roll off.
And also ignorance.
Yes.
Absolutely, James. It's just ignorance when you hear they don't know the players in the league. They haven't watched them. I mean, they don't know nothing about them. But they're straight away. They'd be right on it. Oh, the Dutch league is this. Oh, the French league is that. I mean, some of the best academies now. I mean, we looked at Ajax. I mean, they was up there with the academies, and now you got academies from VS and AZ Saltmar. And for me, that's why the leagues are so the teams are so close this league, because the academies and the players are getting better. So people should go and have a look.
Yeah. I mean, Jerome, you just recently done.
As you say, also ignorance towards the teams as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I was just saying, Jerome, you did a little next generation football, and you've seen some of the talents coming through there. Just at Ajax. I mean, what one you were saying, Ryan Gravenberch, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the standout one, I guess, because he's playing in the first team. That's right. Yeah, they won 1-0. Yeah, I mean, he seems as though, I mean, it's for someone that's so young still. Yeah, he's only 18 and he's playing in their central midfield. And I mean, James, do you think how far do you think this Ryan Gravenberch can go? Because for me, I think like he's been linked with all the big clubs recently, and he just seems excellent. Yeah. What are your thoughts on him?
I think he's going to stick. I think he's going to stick around for a while. I remember I think it was the last time I spoke to you where I said that he's the next one to come off the conveyor belt. He's the next one to come off the production line and go on to become a household name. And I like to think I've been proved right. And he's also got a very young and experienced young shoulders, because as Steve says about the academies, they learn at Ajax. They learn to respect their coaches. They learn to respect their teammates. They learn to respect their opponents. And as Team said about the the ignorance towards the clubs as well. You take the French league, for example. If you've got a league with Marseille, Paris Saint-Germain, Monaco, Etienne, Nice, Lyon, it's not a poor league. It's not a poor league if you take a look and see at what these teams have achieved in the past. And the same with the thing was. Same with the Spanish league, with the likes of Sociedad, with the likes of Getafe doing really well. Before I was cut off with the technology, I was making the point of Philip Sandler. He signed from Manchester City. I interviewed him 3 weeks after that transfer was made public. And I said to him, how did such a transfer come to fruition? And he said to me, they sold it to me. He said they literally sold it to me. They told me that I will be training with Sergio Aguero, David Silva, and they really sold it to me. He played a handful of games for the reserve of the City, and he was loaned out to Anderlecht, and he's now back at the club not playing. And when I spoke to him, he was he had a really good season. It's about going to PSV Eindhoven, going to Ajax or even RZ. And also one important part for viewers tonight as well, you also have to be made aware. So receiving, even on what's as regards to we've got this player, we've got that player, you want to see this one, you want to see that one. Clubs are receiving unaddressed correspondence in a hope that a club will take the bait. And in terms of transfers, it's very important to know that clubs are literally being swamped next.
It's a shame when young players do go to these clubs on a wink and a prayer and a promise.
I wanted to ask. Sorry, mate. Go on.
I was going to say, they get told about the bright lights and all that, and it's
And the thing is, telling a 14-year-old kid that he's going to be training with Sergio Aguero, that's selling him a dream, innit? Like, all right, you'll be training with Sergio Aguero, but are you going to be playing next to Sergio Aguero? That's the more important thing. That's and this has got to be down to the parents, the agents. They've got to think about these things. But the majority of times, they're sometimes they're looking at the money that the clubs are offering. That always seems to be a problem.
Yeah, no, people should go and have a look at their league. It's getting, Ajax won today.
Well, that's what James means by naive, because we've been grown up on La Liga, Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. Wow, brilliant. And then you go to Spain, go to France, and like James says, you see all them teams. Now you're seeing your teams like Nice that are slowly but surely going up, and no one's expecting it. And then you're seeing Unai Emery at Villarreal, and they went 12 games unbeaten, and then they lost to Barcelona, and they went another 4 games unbeaten, and everyone's like, how are Villarreal up there in 3rd and 2nd? What's going on?
Villarreal used to be a team like Raquel.
They used to be.
And this is the thing. We when we were growing up, we used to see these teams. We used to see Ajax lifting the Champions League. We saw these French teams in the latter stages of the Champions League and the European Cups. And we used to know about these players. It's like it's very easily dismissed, but it's like what I don't understand is some of the levels of players these kids know, like they know who these players are, yet they will still turn around and say give no respect to certain leagues. So hopefully they learn.
Can I just ask James? We can't have a Dutch special one of our editions without talking about Ajax. But it's a different little bit of a spin on this, James. Right? I wonder. We all know about the young players. We all know about the stars that they've got, and how they are on the ball and what they're doing this season and what they've done all the other seasons. But someone's just made their 200th appearance for Ajax very, very recently. I mean, you're probably going to know who I'm going to say, and that's Andre Anoa, the goalkeeper. Now, I want to know from you, mate, how important. We all know how important these Gravenbatches and Kenneth Taylors and how important to Ajax is he?
Well, we made a fantastic save today, right at the last knock-ins to keep Ajax ahead. He made a tremendous save to literally stop it being 1-1. A great save, and as Jerome says about Gravenberch scoring a winner today. Onana has been really stable at the back as a goalkeeper, and a couple of seasons ago he turned down Olympique Marseille because he thought that he could do better, and he didn't feel that it was the right fit for him. And there was rumours of him going to Chelsea. There was rumours of him going to Barcelona. Yeah. But I think this could well be his last season at Ajax, but some 200 appearances. But he was also heavily criticised for time wasting in injury time when Spurs scored that equaliser in the semi-final. And when
that's all right. That's all right.
As being someone that kind of time wasted a little bit. But it's been a great servant to the club. And as I said, as we were saying about the ignorance to certain teams and certain players and everything, and we've got people, especially the younger generation, they've got so many resources at their disposal to learn about clubs. I mean, obviously, I've been enamoured with European football ever since I was a kid. I remember reading Arsenal programmes instead of children's books. My mother used to have arguments at school with the teachers where they used to say, "Oh, James doesn't read books." My mum used to say, "No, he doesn't. He reads football programmes. He goes up to his bed at night and he tells me he's going to read his football programmes." And I used to have a stack and I'd read it word for word. And I used to always read the scene around Europe bit, where you'd learn about Real Madrid, you'd learn about the history of a club like Atletico Madrid before Simeone arrived. Even by Spanish standards, people that weren't interested in football, they were looked upon as perennial losers that never won anything, and they were made fun of. And Simeone managed to change them. You look at Marseille, for example. If you said to me who is the biggest club in France, it is Marseille. If you look at the stadium, if you look at the club, they won the Champions League titles, cups. Obviously, Paris Saint-Germain have always had great potential.
But Paris Saint-Germain never used to be a team.
Paris Saint-Germain have always had great potential.
Yeah.
They're built on that.
Yeah. They're just
they fused. Back in 1970, and obviously the resources that people have now to look at what clubs are, and look at the history of clubs. It's always something which is very important. Like here in the Netherlands, we have Ajax final PSV. We've had that for years. Arsenal have made progress. Twente won the league. You see Vitesse coming up now. If you look in France, for example, Lens got promoted and are doing great business. Sociedad, they were top at one point in Spain.
Yep.
They'll give Manchester United time in a couple of weeks. If you look at, you shine a light on Portugal. You know, Porto, Benfica, Sporting Lisbon. But people will forget about the progress made by Braga, Guimarães. She played against Arsenal in the Europa League a season or two ago. Braga and Guimarães have also made fantastic progress. So it's always nice to shite as well. And you know, you see about the characters of different clubs as well. Like I've interviewed players recently who play in Switzerland for Zurich and also FC Thun, who were subsequently relegated, but they're loving life. And it's the same. It's important. It's a world game now. It's not.
Yeah.
It's no longer us and them. It's a world game now.
Yeah.
And the Bundesliga is going from strength to strength, isn't it?
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure tonight speaking to you all again.
Yep.
Sorry.
It has been an absolute pleasure, James. Thank you for coming on,
guys.
Thank you for coming on.
Cheers, mate.
It's nice to have you on again soon.
You're more than welcome. I won't leave. Yeah, I won't leave it too long next time. Delighted that you're all doing so well. I'm delighted for you as a collective, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, James.
Cheers, mate. Look after yourself, mate.
Good seeing you again.
Keep safe.
All right. Thank you very much for James coming on. We will see you again soon. Hopefully, in the January transfer window, deadline day show. So, if anyone didn't see the deadline day show last time, we're going to be doing it again. I'm a glutton for punishment, and I'm going to be doing an all-day show again. We're going to be giving you the most up-to-date information, the latest transfers that happen on deadline day, player profiles, just general chat. We're going to have guests on all throughout the day and night, and some big surprises. So make sure you join us on that day. What is it? Is it the 1st or the 31st? Is it the 1st?
First.
It's the Monday again, isn't it? It's the Monday. Make sure you join us. All right, let's get down to it. Jerome, what have you got for us for the Guardian Top 60 this week?
Oh, I've got a couple of crackers. Got who we got first? We'll start with Moses Nyman, a 17-year-old that plays for DC United in America, a team that obviously were linked with Ozil, weren't they, DC United?
Yeah, but we all knew that was just a bit of a smoke screen, don't we? Smoke screen.
Yeah. So he's a box-to-box midfielder. He's very short. He's 5'5", but for his size, he's very strong. Played for the first team there when he was only 16. Born in Liberia, but has represented both Liberia and America, sort of youth level. And he has actually trained with Dortmund's youth team previously. But I'd say he's a box-to-box midfielder, but maybe sort of starts a little bit deeper. But very good on the ball. Very good on the ball. So that's him. Then we've got someone that could potentially be Real Madrid's next superstar striker. This is a guy called Israel Salazar.
Yes.
17 years old. Been with Madrid since he was 12. He has scored loads of goals for their youth team. In about 5 or 6 seasons, he scored over 150 goals. Before lockdown last season, before all the mess, he had 28 goals in 18 games. And when you look at some of his finishes, the variety and quality are so good. If you remember when Higuain was at Real Madrid, he used to score all different types of goals, Higuain, and sort of reminiscent of that. So yeah, Israel Salazar.
Did he play in the under-19s game against Benfica? I remember seeing that. If anyone's not seen it, check out the UEFA Youth League final. Benfica versus Real Madrid. 3-2 it ended. It was one of the best games I've seen at youth level. Go and check it out. It's ridiculous. All right. Thanks for that, Jerome. Some couple of decent players there. All right. It's time for the transfer roundup, people. All right, what have we got this week?
Ozil, let's just get it over and done with.
It's been a busy week. It's been a busy week. It's not the only transfer happening inside, but yeah.
I know it's the one that's doing my head in.
Ozil did that, but let's go. All right, Brighton are confident of beating off interest from Newcastle United for the signing of Ecuadorian midfielder Moses Caicedo. It looks like he's going to be going out on loan if Brighton do get him as well. Looks like he'll be going straight back out on loan and he'll be joining at the end of the season.
It's done, isn't it?
What?
It's done, isn't it? I'm sure it's not officially announced, but it is done. I've been told it's done.
Yeah, I've not seen anything.
I don't think it'll be like officially out of anything, but I have been told it's done.
No, but it would be.
The club hasn't announced it, have they? I don't think.
No, it's just no. Even it's not been announced yet. It's just it's not been announced yet.
They've only just announced Lamptey, haven't they, at the minute?
What for the contract extension?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Express say that Arsenal are no longer interested in Norwich midfielder Emi Buendia. Not too sure that's the case. I'll probably wait until the latter stages of this transfer window. So I wouldn't believe anything you said there. Leeds have been linked to in-demand defender Frederick Andre Bjokin. Jerome, you had a little look at him, didn't you?
No, I don't think I didn't.
You didn't have a little look at him. Hey, it was a test. It was a test, and you passed the test.
Yeah.
Yes. Jerome always passed the test.
Remember the dates. Remember the date. You said no.
Right. Burnley are set to make a move for Everton fullback John Joe Kenny. Steve, was there anything in that as a Football Insider? We are looking into it. We are looking into it.
We are looking.
Schalke can't afford him, can they? Because wages.
No, Schalke want him back. Schalke want to make a deal. But it's simple as that. They can't afford him. He was obviously there last season. They loved him. The crowd loved him. Everybody loved him. He got on well there. He's gone back. He's not getting any game time. He's not playing, which again makes no sense whatsoever. Why they brought him back anyway? Now they're trying to sell him, and now they can't. And now Schalke can't afford to take him back for the money that they want. So that's where we are.
Yeah. Donnarumma has refused to sign a new deal at AC Milan. Talks are still ongoing, Steve, on that one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about if talks are still ongoing. I'm sure they are. But they're about 2 million a year out. I think he wants 5. They've offered 3 and a bit, 3.5. So that's where they are at the moment. I'm sure that will go through. I mean, they're not that far out.
Haka and Kalanoju, is there any more movement on that one as well? Because he refuses to.
Exactly the same. It seems like they both have been having a chat with each other.
Yeah,
but he's turned down what he's been offered, and there's going to be more talks next week. But again, I'm pretty sure both of those will get sorted in the end.
Right, cool. Yeah, because that'd be a massive loss if they lose both of them, especially Donnarumma. I mean, you lose. He's probably played about 5 seasons now. He's like 21. It's madness that he's still only 21.
Yeah,
it's
mad,
crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy. Strasbourg have now announced that AC Milan target Mohamed Simakin is sustaining an injury, which will keep him out for 2 months. They've since completed the loan signing of Chelsea defender Fikayo Tomori the rest of the season. That was
which we had first and got first. That one.
Yeah. Because it was that they were after Simakin. It was if they couldn't get Simakin, it was Tomori, and then funny enough, the Tomori won up because of the injury. 18-year-old Spurs striker Ali Akman is wanted by Chelsea along with a host of other clubs, and this is in various outlets. Jerome, how good is this kid?
Well, this season he's had a brilliant start. He's got nine goals in 16 appearances so far, and he's as an 18-year-old, like you said, he's spearheading the attack of Bursaspor.
Oh, this is the first team as well.
Yeah. He's I mean, it is the second tier of Turkish football, but he's scored bundles of goals. He scored 20 and 40 for like all the Turkish youth teams. And what's interesting about him is, as a striker, he's one of those that is an absolute nuisance, a bit like a Suarez in terms of putting defenders under constant pressure, hurrying them, and being linked with teams. Like you said, he's only got 6 months remaining on his contract, so someone's going to pick it up for cheaps.
All right, so we'll be keeping an eye on this name then, because obviously this transfer news is going to come up soon. So we'll be watching out for this player. So one to watch, yeah. Yeah,
decent player, yeah.
Decent. West Ham have pulled out of the running for striker Josh King. Steve, you had a bit of more information on that one, didn't you?
Yeah, Josh King. I don't know what Josh King's playing at. He's now had talks with Everton. He's had talks with West Ham. He's had talks with West Brom, and there's probably another 3 clubs that he's had talks to that we don't know about. And his wages are just off the roof at Sky High, and each club has said no. So Josh King's still at Bournemouth at the moment. So
is that because he's only got 6 months left on his contract, and he knows that he can get a nice sign-on fee and a decent wage at the end of it?
Looking at those 3 clubs, I mean, West Brom probably could do with him the most, obviously. Everton and West Ham, they'll probably could go somewhere else and get someone.
But there's no point. Is there any point in Josh King going to a West Brom when one of the main reasons why he wanted to leave Bournemouth was because he wanted to move to a bigger club? Man United came in for him. He wasn't happy that Bournemouth turned down the deal offer and didn't even give him a sort of heads up that it had happened. And since then, he's kind of really wants out. But it would be a bit pointless to go to a West Brom even if they stayed up. I think he'd be looking elsewhere after that anyway, because he would be the one that would be helping him stay up. So I'm assuming.
I don't think he'd make it at Everton.
No,
well, over Dominic Calvert-Lewin. No, he wouldn't.
If he went to Everton, he would be like a play with him.
Or replace
you on the bench.
A backup for him.
But with West Ham, West Ham have just sold Sebastian Haller, so they will be signing someone in January. They've got to, because they've got no one. They've only got Tanio, and he's a bit injury prone, and he's like a bit of a utility player as well.
It's the type of player he is. He puts himself about.
Exactly. So West Ham, I'd say no, and West Bromwich Albion. I don't think he'd keep him up, would he? I don't think he's the type of player you think, he's going to come in and score 15 goals for us and keep us up.
I think the thing is with down the bottom, it's not even 15 goals, is it? It's like you probably if a striker came in and scored 8 goals between now and the end of the season, that's probably something massive for one of these teams that are staying down the bottom. Like,
is he capable of that?
I think he could be. If you look at a West Brom, getting the ball in the box, he's Josh King. He's got a bit. He's a target man, but he's got a bit more than that. He's not top class. He's not top draw, but he's all right. He's the kind of player. It's the kind of player that Sheffield United should have probably got.
It's good shout.
Over bringing in a Ryan Brewster. If you bring in someone like Josh King, 15 mil for Josh King, he only had a season left on his contract. You probably would have been able to get him for about that much. Instead, you went for a 19-year-old for 26 million who's got a buyback for 32.
Yeah, but you ain't going to want to pay big money for him, are you? And you're not going to want to pay big wages.
No, you're not. But I mean, if you're not paying big money, then something's got to give.
I think Fulham would be a good shout for him. I think Fulham would be tailor-made.
Fulham would be. Yeah, I think it would be a good shout. Good shout this side. Man City have given Pep the green light for Haaland. They're going from this summer then, Steve, yeah?
Yeah, we spoke about it last week, didn't we? That they've given him the green light to go and get him. There's a bit of a change regarding the the buyout clause. The buyout clause is not of now. It's the buyout clause comes in 2023. So
I thought it's 2022.
I've been told 2023. I will check that out.
It could well be.
I will check it. But if it is 2023, then the 65 billion don't come into it, does it? And then we're back to talking like last week where we was talking about Harry Kane and Haaland, where we are both talking about then 100 million and 100 million, and then maybe Kane might be the one that they possibly might be looking at. I don't know.
Who do you think's more likely? Let's just say, for instance, Harry Kane doesn't win anything with Tottenham, and Haaland carries on the same as he does with Dortmund. Probably doesn't win anything with Dortmund this season. They're at two different ends of their career. Who do you think's more achievable in terms of getting the player?
Haaland.
Yeah, Haaland.
With Harry Kane, it's too awkward because he's said too much. Signed his contract, says I don't want to leave. I like basically comparing him to Alan Shearer.
When did he sign his last contract?
Just before they got Stadium, weren't it? Because they announced it on the big TV screens.
Yeah.
So when was that? That was about 3 years ago.
Yeah. His
Was it
contract.
3 years ago?
That's 2. His contract runs out.
This summer it'll be 3 years. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, his contract's till 2024, so he's still got 3 years on his current contract to the end of the season.
A couple of things that might help that is that I was told yesterday that Manchester City are looking to sell one of their big stars in the summer to free up money for one of these two strikers. And the one that's getting spoken about the most is Raheem Sterling.
Yeah,
he's
incoming.
His contract expires in 2023.
Okay.
So he's got plenty. They can get a big. They can get a good price for him. And I think there's a lot of places where he could go. Probably
but who do you think would be after him?
Real Madrid, maybe.
Do you know what? The only thing is, all I'm thinking is Man City want big money, and the first place they'd be wanting to look for is Real Madrid to try and get that big money. It's like there's no money over there. There's no money in Italy. There's no money. The only money there seems to be is in England. That's serious money.
But they are. He is what was being spoken about as the one that they would free up cash to bring in Haaland or Kane. So
how much do you think they'd be looking for?
To them, it's a swap, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
That's a good point. What's Sterling worth? Yeah.
I mean, Sterling's probably worth about, if you're talking about actual transfer money, Sterling's probably worth about 70 to 80 million.
Levy, though, is going to play hardball, isn't he? Because they've got a stadium to pay for as well.
Yeah.
So he's going to say 150, 200 million for Harry Kane, which makes it.
Million. That's what I mean.
You can be asking for it, but you're not going to get it.
Yeah. So we spoke about Harry Kane a couple of months ago, and this is what I mean about it's past. Like when you're talking about Harry Kane and you're talking about 200 million, that time is gone. 150 million. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying the player's passed it himself, but the value of that player, what Tottenham are expecting for him, is way gone. 150 million, 200 million, done. No, not happening. Mbappe, 200 million, that's different. Harry Kane, no. They're at different ends of the scale in their careers, and Harry Kane's coming up to the peak of his career, towards the end. Not the end, he's got plenty of time, but it's coming towards that peak time. Mbappe's at the start of it. Now, you're not getting 200 million, 150 million for Kane. So that's what I'm talking about with regards to...
You're not getting your money's worth either.
No. Yeah.
I haven't actually heard this. This has just come to my head just as we've been speaking now. But let's just say that Haaland's the man and Haaland's the one they want. And to be quite truthful, that's the vibe that you're getting out there, that Haaland is the one that Man City want.
Yeah.
Maybe they could Borussia Dortmund then. If Haaland's going to go to City, maybe Sterling would go to Dortmund. I could see him. I could see him in the Bundesliga. Sterling.
I could see him
going to a bigger club.
Yeah, I could see him going to a bigger club than Dortmund. Though I could see it I can't see him going to a Dortmund because it's a bit like.
It's not a step up in his career, is it?
It's not.
No.
It's like you're going to a team who are competing for the titles, who's regarded as one of the best teams in Europe. And I know Dortmund are around, but they're not. It's Bayern Munich in that league, and then it's the other teams. It's not Bayern Munich and it's them. That's it. That's it. And that's not just anything against some other teams, but Bayern Munich are their own entity up there, and I know they've been in not great form this season, but. It's for Raheem Sterling to go to Dortmund would be I think for him would be a bad, not a bad move, but
I don't know where Sterling would go. Me, I can't think where he'd go. I'm thinking of English teams that could, like you say.
He
got to remember
he can't go Man United or Liverpool, can he?
He's probably on.
He's said too much.
What's that?
He'll be on monster wages as well. So
Yeah,
He's on 300k, isn't he?
So Germany's out of the question. Is
Sterling as good as he is, and or doing what he does that we've seen over the last few seasons? Is it because he plays for Manchester City, or is it because he's Raheem Sterling?
He plays for City.
I think
because if it's because he played for City, then maybe he won't get the offers from the big clubs.
No, I think Raheem Sterling's progressed as a player massively over the years, but I just don't know a team that's gonna fork out massive money for Raheem Sterling and paying them big wages. I don't know a team that could afford him.
Yeah, I mean a good way to compare it is Sancho and Sterling. Sancho plays for Borussia Dortmund. They're very similar. And they're exactly the same type of players. And 120 million is the price that is what's been put out there for Sancho. So if you compare the two together, you probably have your answer when you come up with who you would rather have in your side.
Yeah, again, two players on the opposite ends of their career, and it's like a tough. I couldn't see. Look. Raheem Sterling's trying to go to a Man City type club, trying to go to that level of a club out of Borussia Dortmund. Raheem Sterling ain't at the point in his career where he's going to a club that in the opposite direction. I don't think.
How old Sterling? How old is he?
I don't think Real Madrid or Barcelona would even look at him. I don't. I think 26. If you've got Sterling, 26. if you've got Sterling, right, and you've got Leroy Sané. Both of them, right, you have to pay, let's just say, I don't know, 70, 80 mil, right, for both of them. Which one of them players are clubs going to fight for? Because I know my answer already, but I'll get called a biased fan again.
Swan.
No, look, it's an opinion.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an opinion. It's an opinion. It's an opinion.
Yeah.
So everyone's entitled to an opinion. Look, Raheem Sterling's 20, just turned 26. He's at a good age. He's not even old. He's not even at the other end.
And what's Sancho? Sancho's what? 20? What?
21.
What? What's 4 years? See what people see football nowadays, right? The shelf life of a player players that don't go to clubs for 5 years and 6 years anymore. Players go to a club for 2-3 years and then they're off again. That seems to be the new schooling of the way what players do these days. They tend to move on as quickly as managers do.
Yeah.
But it's it'd be an interesting one to see what happens. Something in the back of my mind tells me that is Raheem Sterling that good?
That's what I mean. I just don't think there'd be a bidding war for him. There wouldn't be.
Yeah. I find when you said they're looking for money for a club, and I was thinking who would who's paying big money for Raheem Sterling? And that's not a slight on the player. It's just I just don't see any club paying big money for him, like 100 million. He's valued at 99 million, more than Jadon Sancho.
Jerome, if you had a choice,
Sancho can do
if
more.
you had Jerome and Simon, and Kieran, if you had the choice out of Sane, Sterling, and Sancho, who'd you bring to your club?
I'd take Sane.
All day long.
I'll take Sane.
All day long.
I love
Jaden would be
Sane.
second.
I love
Jaden would be second.
Sane is so intelligent as a footballer. When I used to watch Man City versus Arsenal and Sane was playing, although he'd rip us a new one, I enjoyed watching him play because he's so good to watch, bro. He's so good to watch. He's so smart. The way he drifts off a player and then gets involved again. He's got so much pace but doesn't use it all the time. He uses it at the right moments. I can watch Sane play all day long, mate. All day long.
Yeah.
Jerome, is Kelvin Stengs, should Kelvin Stengs be put into that bracket?
Yeah, I think Kelvin Stengs, he's got so much potential. The thing with Sterling is I think we might not be giving him as much credit as what he deserves, but I think Pep has got the absolute maximum out of him. And one of the reasons that Man City over the last few years have been as good as they have been, Sterling is like a massive part of it. You take Sterling out of that team, they're not the same team. But if he was to go to a different team, the thing is, he'd done well at Liverpool.
The same impact.
Yeah, but he'd done well at Liverpool as well. Like
he was.
I think he's hit the wall, mate.
A few pelters at Liverpool.
I think he's hit the wall, mate. Sterling. I think Pep's got so much out of him. That season, he was unbelievable. We're talking about world class, and he can do everything on his own. Now, when you watch him this season, it's like everything's just being sucked out to him. If you get what I mean.
But they're playing him up front. They're playing him as a striker. They're playing him all over the place. And then when a player gets moved from pillar to post, from his unnatural position to his natural position to there, I don't know whether he's coming or going. It's just players need consistency. And the player like Raheem Sterling, especially the role he plays, where he's out wide, gets to the byline, cuts it back, puts things on a plate for people, then gets involved in the goal scoring as well. When you're moving him into the central position, it kind of like having to relearn a different kind of play, and it's a lot of work for him. It's a lot of work.
When I was told this information, straight away I went, yeah, I can see it. I could see him moving. I could see him out of all the star players that City you've got, because they've got to get rid of one. It makes 100% sense because of who they want to bring in and the way things are at the moment. I can't see they're just going to be able to pay 100 million bang out for Ireland just like that. So it made sense straight away as soon as the guy who said it to me. I think. Go on, mate. Sorry. Go on.
No, sorry. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, that's it, mate. I just said like it just seems right that someone's got to go, and he would be the one.
Can I just jump in? I just looked at Raheem Sterling's stats. Yes. For this season. Oh my God! This is why I said, oh my God. Yeah. This season, Raheem Sterling in 24 games has contributed to 15 goals. Yeah. This season, in a season where he's not been it's been a bit like inconsistent, like but in Man City. Last season, Raheem Sterling contributed to 41 goals in 52 games. Yeah, that is outstanding.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
So
it's unbelievable.
What I wanted to say, what I wanted to say is that I think why we've had like this chat and there's been a bit of like and an iron about him, I think the big reason for that is for England, he hasn't really done it.
No,
and I think if he would have played for Man City how he plays for England, I think people might have sort of different thoughts on him. Because when you look at when he played for England, the goals he scored and how many times he's played for them, he hasn't produced, has he, for England?
Yeah.
England have got to get those players though that City have got. That's the problem, and a manager.
but Jerome's right. If he's smashing it for England whenever they play, you probably could add another 50 million on top of that price tag.
I can't believe that. That's ridiculous. 41 goals contribution, and 31 of them were actual goals himself. 31 from the wing. That's ridiculous. Raheem, any club, mate. Any club.
Just not Madrid. Or Barcelona, or Bayern Munich.
It's worth every single penny of that 99 million valuation that they put up there. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Comments,
41 goals.
We're just going to give one quick answer in the comments. Want to know Raheem Sterling, world class?
Yeah, he's world class. He's world class.
Underrated. Underrated, isn't he?
Underrated or overrated? Raheem Sterling.
He's a very good player. He's a very good player, but he's not world class. No, he's a very good player.
Or overrated.
Just last thing, we won't talk about it. Aguero's still not signed his new contract, and even if he does, there will be new strikers coming in. Obviously, in January or the summer. So, whatever happens, Aguero's going to be looked at as the number 2. If he stays,
it's an end of an era. I think he's gone in summer, me. It's an end of an era.
And the thing is, I think he's one of the most underrated Premier League strikers because when them conversations come up, he never gets put in the conversation. And it's like he's like one of the top goal scorers in Premier League history. He's the top scoring player from out of Europe in Premier League history. And he just doesn't get even put into a conversation when you're talking about the greatest in the Premier League.
Milik and Depay, it's better.
third best foreign player to grace the Premier League. I've always said that.
Well, I hope Omri and Burke are your first, second.
Of course they are, Steve. Thierry Henry is the greatest foreign player ever in the Premier League.
Second, mate. Second.
Talk to me about Ronaldo.
We ain't going to do this. All right. Rob Holding signed a new deal at Arsenal, keeping there till 2024. Luka Jovic has re-signed for Eintracht Frankfurt on loan to the end of the season.
Scored 2 today.
What do we all feel on Rob? What do we all feel on Rob Holding? Happy with it? Understand it? I just thought I'd throw it in there.
Happy-ish.
I think that I don't see anything wrong with it. I think he's not on much wages. I think he's seen as probably a squad player backup. I don't know. I think it's at the end of the day, at the end of the season, he goes down to 2 years left in his contract. So
sensible.
A choice was going to be made anyway, and we keep on moaning about players that go down to the final 2 years of their contracts, and then the power's in their hands. And who's to say that Rob Holding isn't going to have an excellent end to the season, and then clubs come after him, and because he's got 2 years, he then has the power to then go. So we've put ourselves in a situation where we're talking about can't see. You could say that Rob Holding could have a shitter towards the end of the season, and it's a big mistake. These are all.
I just don't think we can get anything good out of him. I think with Arsenal, we've seen his level. We've seen the level he can go to. I don't think he can get any better. Honestly, I don't. I don't see the valuation of it. For me, he's 10, 15 mil at most. So we can gain a new contract. It's like, well, we're not really trying to get more money for him. What we're trying to make an extra 5 mil. He's not going to be that centre back where every club's going to look at him and go, "I want him, I want him, I want him."
You're not talking about.
I don't get it.
If you're talking about English centre back who is at Arsenal and he's done all right, yeah. There's no way anyone's paying. You'll get more than 10 mil for him. You're getting 20 mil for him. English centre back, you're getting 20 mil for him. Yeah. So if he's a squad player and he's on 60 grand a week, I don't see a problem with that. Yeah. I don't see a problem with that.
I think they've signed him up because no slant against Rob Holding, because I'm quite happy with signing him up. I mean, not necessarily as a starter every week, but I genuinely think we've signed him up because at the moment we can't get anyone else.
I think if you look.
Same with Mustafi. He's staying because we can't really get anyone else in.
Well, that's what I mean. You've got Mustafi that leaves at end of season for nothing. David Luiz leaves as well because he's done. So that's 2. Sokratis is on his way soon, so that's 3. Then you go Pablo Mari's still here. Then you go Gabriel is here. So you've got Rob Holding. That's 3 centre-backs now that are definitely here. Who's the others?
Callum Chambers has got a year left in his contract at the end of the season.
That's it. So he can then hold Arsenal to ransom and teams can come in
Arsenal,
for him.
No, but Arsenal, he's not holding anyone to ransom because Arsenal clearly don't want him because they would have offered him a new deal. This guy's injury it's been injured for the last however long. So someone who's injured will take a contract. If you are injured and you've had the injury record that he's had, and Arsenal put a contract on the table for you, you take it.
All Arsenal have to do is not give them all. They can give contracts, they can sign people up on new ones, but all they have to do is just don't give silly contracts. Don't put people on a 5-year or giving them silly money. I mean, I don't know what is the contract Holding's been given.
It's been given an extra 2 years additional onto his contract because he had 2 years left. So it's been given 2 years.
Yeah, with an option of a third, isn't it?
So what? 4 years then?
Yeah, but that's Arsenal's option. So if Arsenal don't want to have to take up the option,
2 years. So 2 years.
2 years,
yeah. So 2 years.
That's sensible.
I think Holding was on 30 grand a week. So
that's sensible. It's sensible.
You've got youth team players that are on more than 30 grand a week nowadays. So he's played first team. I think it's just a bump up in his wages.
Yeah, you're not going to lose nothing. But
I just see it as
2 year contract.
If I don't see Rob Holding as the main centre back, I think he's covering. That's what I mean. I don't. If they've signed him up as being the main centre back, then we'll come back to this conversation in 6 months' time. Yeah. But if you signed up Holding on an extension, and you've got him in as a squad player, I've not got a problem with that.
That would be my concern. That's my only concern, that because he signed his new deal, he could be the next person next to Gabriel. That's what I don't want.
It's just a risk, isn't it?
I don't think it is that.
Is he going to sign a new deal knowing that he's a squad player? You might not play games, but we want you to sign a new contract.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. He gets an extra 30k on top of what he already got.
I think people.
You can't. But you only can go one way or the other, can't you?
I think sometimes we try and second guess what players are thinking. Like as a player, there's 2 spots. Now, anyone that goes to a club knows there's 2 spots in that central defensive role. So you're going there to either claim your shirt and keep it, or you're going there as a squad player to claim your shirt and keep it, or you're going there as backup. Yeah. So the players know what they're in it for. Yeah. So Rob Holding will know that if he's in, he signed his extension, he knows what position he is. He knows that he's got to try and fight for his shirt. That's what you do. If you get the spot, you keep your shirt. That's what you're playing for, to keep your shirt, and that's what it seems like it is. So
that's what we was talking about earlier when James was on. We was talking about Donny van der Beek. We're assuming he's gone to Man United. We're assuming that he's been told what and he knows what the score is.
Yeah.
So this is what we assume all players do.
Yeah. I'm sure he knows the score. Look, for a player to turn around and sign a contract knowing that they're like in a squad and they're fighting for their position, then I don't see anything wrong in that. Joan Luque scored again. Boom. Well done, Joan. Keep it up, mate. Keep it up. Man City and Barcelona come to an agreement which will see Eric Garcia join the Catalan club in January. All right,
5 million. 5 million.
5 million. That's not a bad bit of business. They were trying to get 10. They were trying to get 10 last summer. So 6 months left of the contract. I mean,
they must be crying. They must be crying in there. Think Garcia. They must think we've got one of the top young centre backs in world football, and we've got to get rid of him for 5 million.
Yeah, I know. Like Man City are fuming. Man City are fuming. Barcelona are laughing. Yeah. Wolves will not. We spoke about this earlier. Wolves will not be pursuing any of either Olivier Giroud or Divock Origi after Espirito Santo. Espirito Santo has been told that they're not.
Can I just say one thing about Wolves? There is absolutely nothing out there as far as Wolves going with anything as transfers concerned.
Their chairman has turned around to Espirito Santo, the manager, and said they're not buying anyone. So,
but we brought it up, didn't we? On the Wolves edition.
It looked like they were linked to a few players. It looked like they had interest in a few players, but the prices that the clubs want for these players, they know they're not going to be able to bring anything in decent. And obviously, they had talks with Diego Costa, but he wants big money still. He wants that.
Well, that's what I mean. Think of contracts that Wolves are playing already for some of their players.
Yes.
No wonder they're not bringing anyone in.
Yeah, well, we had the conversation, didn't we, on the Wolves edition? How trouble they are.
Yeah, but I think people forget that the way Wolves came into the Premier League was a gamble. Basically, they gambled that they would get into the Premier League. So what they did is they bought in all the players that essentially, if they didn't get into the Premier League, they would either have gone into administration or they would have been docked points by the Championship because they would have breached financial fair play rules. Or they would have breached the rules that they've got in that league with the spending equivalent. So it's basically financial fair play. And
we're taking it off you for 15 mil.
But they got into the Premier League. But look, when they were going after Ainsley Maitland-Niles, what they offering? 10, 15? So
I think
I'd love to know their wage bill. From Championship to, I bet even Fulham and West Brom.
They took the Portuguese #1 goalkeeper, and that shocked me when they got him. He's not going to be on small wages. They got the João Montino.
That's the one.
They got
Jimenez.
They got so many quality players in their team, but their team could get raided. Their team could. People talk about Neto. Neto's a top player, but who was the one he was talking about the other week, Steve?
Daniel
Podence.
Daniel Podence.
What a player.
And then Olympiacos they got him from. Why are these people not picking up these players from these clubs? There's more than just the big names out there, people. Go and find them. Come to us and we'll get Jerome to do player profiles on them. All right. Leicester have been sold.
I got enough to do.
Islam Slimani to French side Lyon on a permanent deal. Brian Reynolds completed his move to Juventus to see him go join the club at the end of the season. Florian Balogun has signed a pre-contract with a club. Rumours that it was Leipzig during the week. Heard nothing on that except for what was on in the papers. We heard that it could be Stuttgart. Reasons is Sven Mislintat's there. He spoke about wanting Balogun to come to Stuttgart. We know that Balogun has an interest in going to Germany. They're still looking into it. But yeah, looks like Balogun could be off.
It does look like he's got. Yeah.
It's very much off. Even if you just look at the way he sort of handle himself online, it's very blasé. It's not. Some of it comes across as quite unprofessional for me. Considering you're still part of a club, so yeah, but that's my opinion. Timothy Fusu meant to complete his move to Bayer Leverkusen this week. Diego Costa has offered his services to French club Marseille, but they turned him down due to his previous antics. Arsenal goalkeeper Bernd Leno and midfielder Emil Smith-Rowe are in discussions with the club to sign new deals. Arsenal terminated the contract of Mesut Ozil, with the player having the remainder of his contract paid over the next 6 months. And he will be joining Fenerbahce very soon. Tomorrow. You should hear about that tomorrow. So yeah, we should have more details on that. Well, we will have more details on that in the morning.
People in the comments now going, yeah. What?
Yeah.
What?
Got to get clearance.
Tell me more.
We have to get clearance. We have to get clearance on this stuff, man. All right. Yeah. So Jack Clark has completed his loan move to Stoke from Tottenham. Premier League Director of Football Richard Garlick will leave his role in the Premier League to join Arsenal as new Director of Football. Has anyone had a little look into this Richard Garlick? Do you know what he's about? Well, I did. He used to work for West Brom.
We've got enough to do.
Yeah. He used to work for West Brom. And he was there around the time that he was there on the panel which employed Steve Clarke. His first role while he was there was to bring in 11 players into West Brom. The likes of Lukaku. Who else did he bring in? Peter Odemwingie, many others. So this geezer's got a little bit of pedigree. And he's worked for the FA. He's very hands-on, but I wonder what this means for Edu.
He's worked against Arsenal though, hasn't he? With Carnu, didn't he have something to do with Carnu?
In what way? What do you mean? In what way?
No, I'm sure I saw something where I was reading something about him and Carnu popped up or something like that, and he recommended Carnu from Arsenal to West Brom when Portsmouth and West Ham were going for him or something.
Uh-huh.
It's something. I'll show you in the WhatsApp things, but it's something I saw.
Show me, mate. Show me. I'm sure that was some way of someone trying to crowbar something negative about this geezer. It's typical.
No, it's not negative. I'm not saying negative. I'm just saying he's worked with Arsenal before, so you might know.
With Arsenal. I was worked with Arsenal.
Yeah, he's worked against, like, basically dealt with Arsenal, shall I say?
Yeah. I get it. Yeah, I'm confused. Not confused, but I'm just trying to think what this means for Edu. It means Edu will be taking a back seat.
He's not director of football, though, Edu. He's technical director.
Yeah,
so really, there's no one there.
No, I think this guy's been brought in to replace that Huss Farmy that used to sort out the contract.
Because
contract negotiator from Sky.
Yeah, because this guy his original job was a lawyer. So he will be coming in to deal with a lot of the things that Huss Farmy does. But he also deals with the players' contracts and stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah, it will mean that Edu has help with Arteta. They're building a team. All right. Highly rated SK Vwen forward Yusuf Demir. We spoke about him a couple of weeks ago, and he was on the Guardian Top 60. He's a target for Juventus and Manchester United. And he's said to be a Manchester United fan. Derby wonder kid Katie Golden is on the wish list of Manchester United. Jerome, you don't look at him? What's he saying?
Yeah. This is the 16-year-old at Derby that made his debut. That Rooney's his manager there at Derby. He gave him his debut earlier this season, and Rooney said that in training he's basically training at a higher level than a lot of the other first team players.
Oh, really?
He's been described as like basically the best 16-year-old in the country. Attacking midfielder. What I left-footed. What I like about him is he's one of those. He seems to have a lot of time on the ball, and for someone that's so young, like when, not comparing him, but when Fabregas came to Arsenal, when he first came, he just seemed to have lots of space and he could do whatever he wanted with the ball. Same as this kid. So
serious talent, yeah.
Yeah, great. For 60, he only turned 16 in October. Like.
Shut up.
Yeah. He's young.
Yeah, if you have a look at him, he looks about 12 when you look at him.
I couldn't even contemplate playing in the Premier League or in the Championship at the age of 15 or 16. That's madness.
That's mental, yeah.
It's mental. Yeah. Arsenal are keeping track tracking the progress of Brentford striker Ivan Toney.
Oh, Steve's in his element.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Did you have a look at him? So what's he doing this season? Is he looking good?
All I thought of, he's looking good this season. But all I think of is Steve when I hear the word.
Yeah. I'm sure Ivan's not happy that you haven't been keeping up with his progress, Steve.
I was the one that made this known to people on the and when I see it, I was like, "Oh my God, please no!" And I looked into it, and I thought, "Please let it be like a right load of old crappy, something we never heard of, and someone make it up. But when I looked
That's
into
true.
it, you know, there was it was in a couple of reputable places that have come through in the past. So I thought, oh no.
Yeah. So as we know, he was Ollie Watkins' replacement. That Brentford brought him in the summer. This season, as you say, he's brilliant season so far. 16 in 22, very confident in front of goal. I've seen a couple of his penalties, and he does these like one-step penalties. I don't know if you remember, like when you play five-a-side, sometimes you're only allowed to take like one step, and they're the penalties he's taken.
He wears his socks low as well, doesn't he? He's one of them players.
Yeah, very good in the air as well. Threat from set pieces. I guess the big question is, he stepped up to the Championship. Can he step up to the Premier League? I don't know.
I think he could. I watched him against Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough, and he played striker very well in that game.
Yeah, I think what it is with Arsenal, I think they're looking for a different type of striker as well. I think they've got a lot of players in their team are very much the same. So everything they're trying to bring in now is just a bit different.
He played well against Tottenham though as well.
Makes sense.
Played very well.
He was prolific at Peterborough as well. I mean,
he comes from. We spoke about it before. He comes from Newcastle. He was on the books at Newcastle. He was very, very well regarded, highly regarded there. Left Newcastle, and since then he's just hit the ground running. And one thing we said earlier in the season, when it was looking like we'd heard that he might have turned down the move to Brentford, was he should cut his teeth in the Championship, and this is exactly what he's done.
He did, didn't he?
He's gone into the Championship. He's cut his teeth in the Championship. Now he looks like he's probably ready for the Premier League. So yeah.
Is he what do you think, Jerome? Do you think he's well, believe it or not, as much as I was, at the centre of the transfer thing that was going on, I didn't really ever look at him deeply.
Yeah.
I mean, is he Premiership quality?
Yeah, it's a good question. He doesn't stand out. I was like, oh yeah, this guy's amazing. But when you can score goals, it's so valuable, isn't it?
I want to see what he's missing. I want to see his movement off the ball, what his touch is like. It's these little things. What's his composure like when he's got no time? What's his composure like when he's got time?
He don't stand still. Once he gets the ball, he moves it quick. He don't stand still. He passes it either to wings or he doesn't play backwards. He constantly goes forward. He's in the box every single time when he knows the ball's coming in. He's fantastic with his head. He can score with either left or right. His hold-up play is not brilliant, but it'll get better. It will get better. As a lone striker, he can play the role. He can play as a link-up with someone. Against Sheffield Wednesday, he had two defenders on him. And his movement is so good, it reminds me of Aubameyang. When he looks to the defender and then just darts another way, and he loses both of them. Well, he did that against Wednesday. Cross came in, and it looked like he were going to the near post, and he didn't. He sort of did like a little jink and went to the back post, and it just went wide. It would have been a great goal.
And what I think is good. Sorry,
very
mate,
good, very wise.
Yeah. What I think is good as well at the moment, when you look at his career has not ever gone that way. He's just continuing to go on that path. And I hope we do see him in the Premiership. I hope we do see him. And if Arsenal did buy him, I wouldn't be think. I'd like to see him at a Premiership club. And why not? Why not Arsenal? Why not?
Steve, if he signs for us, I'll buy the home shirt with Tony on the back.
Make sure you get a number right.
I tell you what, he's one of these players that's got his message box open as well. So I'm going to say, oi, you.
Early discussions with Bayern Munich and Everton have begun for their striker Joshua Zirkzee. Might get you to have a look at him next week, Jerome.
Cool.
He's meant to be good.
Aston Villa is set for talks with Marseille tomorrow with Morgan Sanson. Liverpool have made contact with Daya Upamecano. Bournemouth are set to offer Jack Wilshere a contract after he's been training with the club. Mario Mandzukic has agreed to join AC Milan. He's just touched down in Milan not long ago.
They're flying, aren't they, Milan? AC Milan.
Yeah, let me done. That is me done. Was there another player?
There's a
there's a player
Mbaye,
for-
Senegal
yes.
striker.
Yes, there's a player for I don't know how I missed that. West Brom are in for a striker from Galatasaray. Yes. West Brom are interested in signing Senegal striker Mbaye Dieng on loan. What's he like? What's he saying?
Yeah, he's at Galatasaray at the moment. 6'4". He's 29 and he has played all over the place. He's played in Saudi Arabia, China, Hungary, Belgium. In 2013, he was actually signed for Juve by Antonio Conte, but he never. Yeah, but he never ended up playing. I don't think he played at all. He ended up going out on loan. But this season for Galatasaray, he's done well. He scored 9 in 14 in the league. He's 6'4". He's a good focal point, but he hasn't got the sort of cleanest technique in the world, but sort of effective and a handful. But he's always scored goals everywhere he's been. He's scored goals. So yeah.
You look like could he score goals in the Premier League?
Yeah, he probably could. They'd probably come off his backside or something.
I'll tell you what, though. There was just talking to Jerome. There's a link of a certain player going to Coventry City in January, and Jerome's going to know who it is when I say it. It was the guy called Moussa Barrow, and I sent you to have a look at him. I asked you to see if you could have a look at him for me. See how good he was. The guy who come across he actually come across on a boat from. Do you remember Kieran? He took it.
I remember you telling me this story.
He plays for. Is it Atlanta? Does he play for someone in? He's in place in the Italian league.
Yes.
And he won Player of the Year.
Yes, he did. He plays for Bologna.
That's it. Well, he's popped up as going to Coventry.
Oh, was it?
In January. So good luck to him. What?
Good luck, Moussa Barrow. Yeah, no, check out the story of Moussa Barrow. He came across on a boat. It's a mad story. But check him out. Check him out, Moussa Barrow. Yes, and I was just on what Jerome was saying about the player who's potentially going to West Brom. Some of these players from these African countries, they will go the longest route to have a professional career. Because sometimes it's agents finding them a club. They say they're going to find you a Premier League club or a club in Europe, and the next thing you know, you're on a plane to India playing having a trial for a team in the Super League. And then you try and get from there, and the closest team, you go to Saudi Arabia, and you do all right in Saudi Arabia, but no one knows really how good you are because the leagues in Saudi Arabia and India are pretty rubbish, and you may have scored 400 goals in 22 games, but no one's going to rate you because it's rubbish. So they had to go on some long journey to try and get recognition to then finally get to it. And along the way, he's clearly picked up bad habits, like you said, the poor technique, because he's getting away with it. But we'll see. We'll see. Thank you to everyone that's joined us. Thank you to James Rowe, and thank you to Nathan, obviously. Hello, Peter G. Hello, Melvin Marks. How you doing, Melvin? RH, we had a new sub as well. Hey. Thank you very much. Checking out the new trim, fresh trim.
You had to put that up, didn't you?
Thank you very much. All things Arsenal. Craig Kelly, West Brom, and Sheffield United are going down. It's in agreement with Steve and Simon. Glenn Cook, see you every week. Andy Raven. Glenn, how are you asking for the transfer roundup at 20 past 8?
No.
Every week. Every week you're with us. And you ask for the transfer roundup at 20 past 8.
Was that you, Glenn? Glenn, was it?
Glenn. There he is.
Named
and shamed. He knew it was saying that's why he said long.
You want to wind up?
Andy Raven, how you doing, Raven? Hey, thank you very much for joining us. Any news on that? Well, look, at the end of the season, we'll be hearing more about some of these transfers Arsenal right now, the only one that I know is even anywhere near interest in January is Buendia. So we'll be hearing more about that soon. Johnny D 33P. Don't think I've seen it before. I say no, it's ignorance. I hate this doing, so I don't go off of poor things in the past. What that is? What? I know what that is. The biggest load of nonsense ever. Fucking hell. Sorry about my language. Jesus Christ.
Is that it might have been in code.
What a load of crap. Talk about it. Oh my God. Any news on Sabitzer to Arsenal? No. Well, last time I saw was Tottenham seemed to be in a very good place with him. Man City. Oliver, how you doing, Oliver? Nice to see you again. See you
Hello,
there.
Oliver. City 4-0.
City won 4-0.
Yeah,
I think that's what Oliver just said. Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh, City 4-0. Oh, Arsenal Queen. Not seen you before. There's a new name in there. Question for James. Oh, sorry, mate. What we do, is every now and again we do a little Q&A bit. So we'll ask questions from the. So just make sure you're following that week. All right. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I want to see some new subscribers. Some subscribers, people. Come on, get them in. Oliver Martin, thank you for joining us. Jonathan Cox, how you doing, Jonathan? Thank you for joining us.
Jonathan.
All right, some new names I'm seeing in there. Thank you very much for joining us. Armand, how you doing, Armand? That's my boy, Armand. Good footballer. Zidane, how you doing, Zidane? See you on Instagram. It's Instagram, Zidane. Mihal, how you doing, Mihal? Bradley, new name I saw you last week. Thank you very much, Bradley and Oliver. Yes, we say Oliver. Good to see you again, mate. Thank you to the panel. Thank you very much, Steve. Once again, has anyone noticed Steve's new hat? Look at that, fresh. Look at that. Oi. There you go.
Yeah.
Gunmetal Puma sign there. Very good.
Gunmetal Puma time. Yep.
All
Nice curve.
Yeah. It's not going to miss it. Just keep your hands up for that bit there. Very good.
I've been told off not to touch it.
Simon, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Simon.
cheers.
And thank you very much for joining us, Jerome.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much to everyone in the comment section. All right. Thank you very much for again, James Rowe. Pleasure having you back on. And Nathan, of course, always a pleasure. We'll see you lot next week. Make sure you join us for the transfer deadline day 1. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow the boys on their platforms. Simon's changed his name. It's now Simon Power 87 rather than Simon PO 24689214444444000. That was Simon's old name. He's now changed it to something more digestible. All right.
It's not your door number, is it?
Make sure that's his phone number. This is account number. Sort code. This is account number and sort code. That's what it was before.
Yeah, that's it.
If you saw it last time, you know what it is. You know what it is, and that's his password, Sam and P.O. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, people. Peace out. Stay safe.